freaking life. Anyway, that comes later. And yeah, good evening, afternoon, or whatever time of day it is in your part of the planet. And tonight, as noted, we're going back to Vampire the Masquerade, Out for Blood. Preparations are underway to take down Miss Chastain, and for better or worse, we've decided to ally ourselves with Monroe Duncan and Thin Bloods in order to make sure she is out of there. Now then, let's quickly grab as to what is going to be happening here, like so. Let me also adjust it so that I am on top, like that. And of course, put on the music. As soon as we tone it down so that it is not overwhelming, and off we go. So, you haven't spoken to Demetrius in over a year over a minor disagreement you don't even recall now. Funny how there is also an acquaintance that goes by Demetrius that we've had a minor disagreement on with in regards to recent events, but that is, of course, besides the point. You miss visiting his old house, which reminds you of a more rundown version of Bleakrest House. When you call his office, his secretary takes down your name and number, and you expect never to hear from him. But less than a minute later, your phone rings. Well, if it is my old friend, it took you long enough to reach out to me. Are you still upset at me? He asks. You haven't heard his voice in so long you've forgotten what it sounded like. The southern drawl, booming pitch, and the way he rolls his endings. Listening to him is like hearing your favorite song that hasn't been on the radio in a while. I don't even remember what we were arguing about. Well, it's in the past. What can I do for you? I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to just come right out with it. I think I've come across supernatural forces in the town that I just moved to. I need your guidance on how to deal with the things. There's a pause and you hear a heavy sigh. I can help you. Before I go on, what exactly are we talking about? This is hard for me to say. Demetrius has lost all character in his voice and speaks plainly. Best rip of the Band-Aid. No judgment. You give a brief description on your interactions with vampires in Jericho Heights. You idly wonder if someone might be listening in and recording this conversation, so you keep it as vague as possible while providing some basic details to Demetrius. I can't say I've ever met one of them in the flesh, or dead flesh, as it were. I've met someone here in Chicago who I suspect of being one, but I could never confirm it. What kind of advice are you looking at? What kind of advice are you looking for? I don't believe they're evil, but I want to know the truth. I want to understand them and learn all I can about their condition. I see. I can't say I'm an expert on the topic, but I can tell you some of what I know from my research. These creatures are cursed by God, and some writings suggest they are as old as Adam and Eve. Still others claim that the Nephilim refers to early vampires and their servants. Not exactly true if we go by Demon the Fallen Handbook. Oh, and yes, it is definitely an aeroplane homosexual, if we go by that description. Hates rice cookers, but otherwise, swell guy. Would you be surprised if I told you that they have infiltrated all parts of society in every country and every political faction? I can't tell you to reconsider your interests, but they hide from humanity and will do anything to remain in the shadows. If you study them, be careful, and tell no one else. That's a lot to take in. Thank you for your insight. By the way, are you going to tell me what our argument was about? Demetrius laughs. We were debating whether or not religion is a necessity for a moral society. The discussion became heated, but I think we both agree. You can be a good person without faith, but you have to believe in something. I think this proves it. Good luck to you, my friend. You hang up the phone and continue your work. So, track Kyra through her Instagram account. That's one of the Thin Bloods, if you recall. That would be Intelligence and Science check. Intelligence 2, Science at 1. So, I don't think we'll be able to pass that one. Otherwise, we can read the local news or read that book we found in the library, Autobiography of the Hunter. Stopped following him months ago. All the good TG writers turned into right-wing cockholsters. As we say, c'est la vie. Let's read Autobiography of the Hunter for any clues. You sit on the couch with Angel curled up next to you and open the cover of the book. It will take more than one sitting, but you hope to get through a few chapters and find some of the information you may need. The first chapter delves into Annis Keen's childhood and how a young girl from Cincinnati moved around the country from city to city with her family, never fitting in, and leading an isolated young life. You skip ahead a few chapters and read about her position as Vice President of Marketing at CNA Financial Corporation. You skim the paragraphs until your eyes fall across the word vampire. Keen talks about her first encounter with them one night outside a nightclub. They followed her out to her car, forced her their way inside, and took turns drinking from her. They left her for dead, but she was found the next morning by the police. You keep reading, and though she does not come right out and write it in the text, you piece together that she had some kind of psychological break. She quit her job, sold her townhouse, and set herself up outside Chicago. Chapter 8 provides a list of herbs and plants found in the woods of Illinois useful for curing minor cuts and ailments. She includes recipes for creating homemade explosives and designs for their trigger devices. You flip past sketches for something called a hanging trap and move towards the last few chapters where she talks about the one subject on your mind. I long ago deduced that vampires prey on vulnerable people. Combine that with the fact that they feed at night, and it became clear why vampires love cities. Whether it's people who are out in the town, like I was, or down in their luck homeless people, cities present vampires with ample prey. Oh yes, Gamergate and its consequences. We all just wanted to play video games after all. Evaluating my options, I decided to stake out a homeless shelter in East Pilsen. A few cups of coffee and a kind smile quickly ingratiated me to its inhabitants. Soon I learned that an old veteran named Clive was being treated at the shelter for chronic anemia by the resident clinician. I suspected foul play. After he recovered for a few nights, I followed him across South Branch to a fueling center for big rigs. He went into a trailer covered in graffiti and propped up cement blocks. I had a gut feeling something was about to go down, and I took out my old trustworthy Raging Bull, 44 Magnum Taurus revolver. Taurus Raging Bull is, I'm pretty sure, an actual firearm. As in, that's its real name. Circling to the front of the trailer, I peeked inside and saw an individual crouching in the shadows. His skin was waxy like a melting candle. He was hideously deformed, with bulging eyes at the edge of their sockets, and his ears were covered over with a membrane. Though I thought it was well hidden, it became clear that he had seen me. His eyes began to glow in the darkness of the trailer. I raised my revolver and told him to get out and get on the ground. Instead, he raised his hands, and I heard an unearthly chattering from all around me. Small brownish shapes came out of the drain pipes from the trailers and out of piles of debris. A swarm of rats. They moved from all sides and rushed at me. I turned and ran the only way possible, back towards the street outside of the fueling center. I heard them behind me, but I moved with all powers of self-preservation and didn't stop until I reached a highway overpass. I flagged down a passing car and rode a safe distance away. When I made it to my apartment, I was a pile of nerves. Sweating, chest pounding, mouth as dry as a box of crackers. It took a bottle of gin to calm me down. All I could see was that face and those red eyes staring at me. It was a vampire. He was drinking Clive's blood, and I knew I had to stop it. Yeah, sounds like a typical run-in with a Nosferatu. You skip ahead again and come to a strangely organized section of the book with notes and scribblings describing the strengths and weaknesses of vampires. 1. Vampires are not just hideous monsters hiding in the shadows. They can be your neighbor, your priest, your congressperson. They can change their form and their appearance. 2. Only 2 things can kill a vampire. Sunlight and fire. Hey, we all make mistakes in the heat of passion, Jimbo. Anything else can harm them but won't keep them down. I've shot a bloodsucker point blank with a shotgun only to watch it zip away faster than I can blink my eyes. A bullet to the brain or a stake to the heart will knock them out, but you need to burn them or stick them outside for the sun to do the final job. 3. Vampires can mesmerize the weak-willed. With a simple stare or a phrase, they can force you to do their bidding. 4. Forget about Dracula and other stories of vampires, because most of it is hokum. I've chased vampires across running water and had them break into my home uninvited. They show up in mirrors, and I've captured them on film. The only thing those tales get right is their need for blood. You read a few more pages, but the writing grows more rambling the farther you go. Checking your phone, you see an hour has passed. You've spent enough time reading and need to move on to other things. Let's check the local news for any other clues. You turn on your laptop and open a browser to navigate the local news site for Heights Standard. Included amongst the weather report, opinion columns, sports updates, and community listings, you spot several articles of interest. A transit station in Jericho Heights. New regulations may bring transit station to Jericho Heights by Ali Mohammed. Talks are underway between the mayor, town council, and state officials to establish special land use regulations for a large section of Long Valley Park. Many land developers have considered LVP the perfect place for redevelopment with its accessibility to roads, ease of clearing the land, and positioning in DeKalb County. Though no town or county official is available for comment, public record filings show interest in a 5 square mile section of the park. A train station in this location would likely be part of the Metra BNSF railway line. I'm gonna put on the special of this one. Seaman, that's concrete, baby. There is an immediate need, says Mark Eaton, attorney for Kirkland and Ellis in Chicago. It takes me an hour and a half in the morning to drive to work and close to 2 hours to get home. Not only would riding a train cut my commuting time, I would be able to use my laptop and get work done instead of staring at traffic. Other citizens of the Heights weren't interested in the transit station. There's just no need for it, Chuck McRae said. We come and go just fine and don't need to cut down nature to put up some monstrosity. We don't want a train station, a Walmart, a shopping mall, an IKEA, none of it. Let Jericho Heights stay the way it is. You don't want IKEA in your life? How unsverige of you. While nothing is official, a train station could bring thousands of new jobs to the area along with new opportunities for business catering to the commuters. Since Jericho Heights owns the land projected for development, it stands to reap the benefits of the train station in several ways. If put to a vote, these regulations would surely pass, and a new transit station could be under development within the next few years. Very hard to bully. Unfortunately, that is debatable. There are certain topics that will bring me to tears, but I won't show it. I will not elaborate on that yet. Sign up for the Summer Festival. Sign-ups for Summer Festival coming soon by Logan Vander Hall. This weekend starts the 42nd Annual Jericho Heights Summer Festival. Sponsored by First Bank of Jericho, the festival hosts a wide array of fun activities, food, and family-friendly events. Below are just some of the things you will find at this year's festival. Face painting, bouncy castle, hopscotch tournament, and more for toddlers. Petting zoo and pony rides. Vendor stand. Businesses from all over the country will offer their products with deep discounts. Outdoor movies shown on a big screen at the end of the Red Tree Road. Live episode of New Heights podcast. Be in the audience and take part in a Q&A with Amanda Chastain and Gabriel J. Field. Note that down. Competitions for best cosplay outfit, prettiest pet, and king and queen of the festival. Games of chance and a dunk tank featuring special guests. This is just a small sample of what you can expect to find at this year's summer festival. Come one, come all, and enjoy. That is correct, by the way. Championship run for Jericho Heights High football team in jeopardy. Until yesterday, the winner of this year's DeKalb County High School Football Championship trophy was all but engraved with the name of Jericho Heights. Jericho Heights Wolves. Early talk was of the Wolves as early favorites for the state championship. News of the untimely death of star quarterback Royal Coleman has cast those predictions into doubt. Royal wasn't just a promising young athlete, but a leader on the field and well-liked among teammates in the community. I feel for his family and for all of Jericho Heights. He wasn't just an outstanding quarterback and student. He took part in charity work, was a junior deacon at First Episcopal, helped out in his family's car wash business. It's a tragedy on many levels, Coach Bradley said upon hearing the news. While Royal's death is still under investigation and the coroner has not had time to determine a cause of death, eyewitness interviewed at the scene stated they witnessed an altercation in a nearby alley between two figures, one of which turned out to be Royal. He ran to his car pursued by an unknown assailant. Royal drove the car at a distance until crashing into a parked van several blocks away. Police have not identified the assailant, nor have they confirmed that they are searching for one. We will follow them up when more details are available. Funeral arrangements have not been announced as of yet. Escaped convict on the loose outside Chicago. Chicago. A felon remains at large after escaping from Chicago Metropolitan Correctional Center by disguising herself as an attorney, authorities say. Annie Skeen, who was convicted of murder in the first degree of a federal agent, insert your joke of preference here, disguised herself as her attorney and left the correctional facility, according to several agents brought in to investigate. She shaved her head and stole clothing through the facility's laundry service to pose as Arthur Connolly, attorney with the Office of the Public Defender of Cook County. Deputies at the correctional facility have not described how Keen was able to enter the private room where she attacked Connolly, knocked him unconscious, and tied him to a chair. Keen was arrested for the murder of a federal agent when her home in Warrenville was raided by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Yeah, damn ATF. The article further describes efforts to track down Keen's location, but agents have yet to find her. Small spoiler. She would have made an appearance if we were to stick with the Path of Righteousness. Well, further appearances as opposed to Path of Knowledge. But as to what circumstances would that be, I will not say. Gotta keep the intrigue up at some point, or in some way. Oh, you know what? Might as well try to track Kyra through her Instagram account. When you meet the young vampires, you noticed Kyra taking selfies and photos throughout the entire ordeal. She engaged more with her phone than you or the other members of her group. She mentioned something about 300,000 followers, and so it's reasonable to believe she has an Instagram account where she's posted all of those photos for likes and follows. How do you go about finding a vampire on social media? You run a few searches through Google for numerous combinations of keywords with no successful hits. You try numerous combos using the list Kyra, Long Valley Park, Vampire, Jericho Heights, Instagram. Nothing of relevance turns up. You spend the next 40 minutes combing through every search list, peeking at Instagram accounts, just checking out mentions on other accounts. As you grow bored of looking through so many photos, you spot an image of Kyra taken by another Instagrammer. Since they tag her in the post, you are able to see her handle. Clicking the link, you see Kyra's picture posted a few minutes ago. She lies in the bed between a young man and a woman with the tag, "Can't choose just one." It's a provocative photo showing lots of skin, though sheets and pillows hide anything that would invoke a content filter. You flip through her account and try to gain some insight into where she might be. You doubt she's gotten very far since your meeting with her and the young vampires. At least you have a general idea of where she's staying, a hotel in the area where she's taken her victims. And there we have it. That's all we could do. You check the time, which reads 10:36 p.m. You're more tired than you've ever been, and though there's still much to be done in Jericho Heights, you can't stay awake. As you move to the staircase to head to bed, you hear a text comes through on your phone. It's from Adam. "Outside your store. Can I come in?" You hurry through your house and into your store. When you open the door, Adam rolls inside. "Sorry, I had to see you and took a chance you're home. I wanted to surprise you, but I forgot that the only way for me to get into your house is through your store." "No problem. Is everything okay?" "Yes, I want to be with you. I don't want to be at home. Can I stay?" He holds his hands out until you take them, and he looks up at you with sad hazel eyes. You feel a gentle tugging on your arms as he pulls you over and into a kiss. His lips press hard against you, and his tongue plays against yours. You hold onto the back of his wheelchair to balance yourself over him, and he tilts his head back. He guides one of your knees into the wheelchair and then the other, so you're straddling him. You hear him moan as you push your lips harder into his. He spins the wheelchair and carries you on his lap through the back of the store and into the living room, bumping against doorways and knocking into walls. None of it matters as you lose yourself in the passions of this man you've known so long, but never in this way. I'm happy for our character. No, really, I am, in that regard at least. Chapter 10. Dead in One's Tracks. The strength of the vampire is that no one will believe in him. Richard Matheson, I Am Legend. Haven't read the book, but I haven't watched the movie with adaptation with Will Smith. Haven't seen it in a while, though. Maybe someday I'll rewatch it. Thursday rolls in with a crash of thunder. It ripples through Jericho Heights for most of the morning, and with it comes a deluge of rain. You wake up on the couch with Adam and something tells you to check the house. Everything seems fine, even the basement, but when you move into your store, rainwater seeps in from the front door. You shove some towels under the door to help keep the water out. Luckily, the rest of the store holds off the rain. Adam stays to help you for as long as he can before going to work. You're able to open the store, though few customers come out in the storm. You and Lam spend time fulfilling orders and replenishing backstock. By the end of the day, you count the receipts, $255. Lam reminds you of payday for the past week due tomorrow, calculating you owe him $584.60. By the time night falls, the storm has tapered off into a light rain. It's darker than most nights, with even the streetlights failing to fight back the deep black. The store took up your entire day, forcing you to do your real work at night. If you don't need anything else, I'm going home, Lam says. No, thank you. I really appreciate all of your help. Have a good night. When you glance outside, you catch sight of a plain white van driving slowly past the front of your store. A teenager sits on the passenger's side, staring through the large window past the displays. He is thin, with dark skin, and he looks familiar. You just can't place him. Lam brings his backpack over his shoulder and then drops it onto the floor. I almost forgot to do one thing before I left. It will only take... The front of the store chimes, interrupting him. He walks to the front door and pushes aside the blinds to see outside. It's Michaela. What an impudent girl. Go ahead and open it, you say. He clicks the locks and swings the door inward. Michaela pushes her way in and runs past him. Hi there, Michaela. How are you doing tonight? Not good. I've been bored all day. I thought I would have been here sooner, but Miss Pendleton gave me extra schoolwork to do. She says I have to do too much time on my hands. I can't believe I'm spending my summer doing math worksheets. I came as soon as I could so we could talk about the plans for getting rid of Miss Chastain. You look past her through the big window. The white van pulls away. Michaela, did you see a white van right outside the store? You mean my friend's van? The white one? Yes, I've been watching a white van driving slowly in front of the store. You drove here in that? Is everything okay? Michaela rolls her eyes and waves her hands as she speaks. First of all, don't get so worked up. I know how to take care of myself. Damien's my friend, and I'll have you know he's the lead singer of a band from Chicago. They're gonna be huge. And it's not like he's driving it. He's in the Heights with his uncle visiting a family. Mr. Allen met my mom and everything, so we can change the subject and talk about Miss Chastain. Lam walks to the counter and says, Do you mind if I stay? I would like to hear your plans as well. You know what? I'm still doing research and trying to figure out a plan. If we want to get rid of Chastain, we'll have to take our time and work out all the details to keep everyone safe. Michaela's stares seem too intent for a girl her age. Smart, but you need to know your enemy. All the books say to do that, but you just can't wait too long. She might strike first. Well, technically she already did. A sudden gust of wind hammers the front windows, shaking them. The whistle is like a freight train coming into the station. I was just closing the shop with Lam, and I'm headed to meet Salem, Adam, Marcus, and Lacey. I have a few things to go over with them, and then we can start making our plans for dealing with Chastain. Have fun at Gallagher's Tavern. I don't care for the atmosphere, food, or loud music, but they have nice furniture, Lam says. Wait, you're going to a bar? That's not a meeting, it's a party, Michaela says. It's not what you think. None of us want to meet in our homes, and noise and crowd and loud music will keep anyone from listening, you say. Though this isn't entirely true, you think it will appease her. Michaela rolls her eyes. Whatever, just don't get drunk. If you all get stupid, you won't be able to fight anybody, especially not Miss Chastain. I better get going. My mom is down the street picking up dinner, and I don't want her to wait for too long for me. As soon as you come up with a plan, can you please text me? I'll let you know what we decide to do. A girl can dream, especially if it's just a Scott Pilgrim reference. At least I want to believe that it's a Scott Pilgrim reference. How would a Scott Pilgrim and World of Darkness crossover look like? I shudder to imagine, and I don't want to check AO3. Not this time. She walks out of the front door, and Lam locks up after she leaves. The white van pulls in front of your store, and the side door opens. Damien helps Michaela step inside. Once she's seated, she slides the door closed, pauses, and gives you a quick nod like he knows you. even though you've never met him. The white van pulls away. You glance at your clock and see 7:04. You told your friends you'd meet them at 7:30, giving you only a short time to get over there. You're looking forward to a bit of downtime with them, even if the main topic of discussion involves heavy decisions about the fate of your town. Oh yes, the Loud House Gigafix are something else. Especially if we go into the topic of Rick and Morty crossovers. Because believe me, they do exist. As well as the obligatory Has-Been Hotel crossovers. Now, where was I? Right. You told your friends you'd meet them at 7:30. You stare through the front window of the shop, distracted by the sight of trash blowing in a circle in the entryway. I will be going now, unless you need me for anything else, Lam says. I don't think so. Thanks for all of your help today. I couldn't have done it without you. Lam smiles. I know. I haven't said this often, maybe ever, but I really do appreciate working here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'll be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, just as an expression. Just an expression. I'm not a morning person. With your get-together at Gallagher's happening soon, you walk through the back of the store and think about all the things you need to do before leaving. Shower, pick out clothes. As you enter your living room, you notice a figure standing outside the front window on the side of the house. You can't make out many details except for a light gray hoodie. He struggles with the latch, but you can tell he's trying to force the window open. Moving closer, you spot Perry's rotting, malevolently grinning face. You don't know why he's here, but you can only assume it's to kill you. He threatened you enough when you met Monroe and the other vampires in Long Valley Park. He's come to drink your blood. He hasn't spotted you yet. You only have seconds to react. Oh, here's a good option. Place a curse on Perry to weaken him. I will need an advantage to defeat him. Resolve and Occult. Resolve 2. Occult 2. That's a coin toss, so... a little bit iffy on that one. Other options. Where is my ranged weapon? I wish I had some... I wish I had an option to buy one, but I didn't. So unfortunately there is not an option, but what else do we have? Deal with him while he's trying to get into the house. I'll get the jump on him. That should be... What's our combat stat? It's 4. So technically, we can do that. However, our clandestine is still 0. So there is no way for us to hide it out. Other option, call someone for help. I won't be able to fight him alone. Risky, attracts unwanted attention, and there is no guarantee that the person we're calling in for help, especially if it's someone like Adam, will survive the encounter. Third option, hide in my grandfather's office. Perry won't look for me there. I'm not so sure. If he wants to, he will find us. Especially if with that clandestine 0. Which means I have my doubts. Well, let's roll the dice first. Place a curse on Perry to weaken him. Achievement unlocked. I put a spell on you. Place a curse on a mortal or a vampire. Nice! Some call them hexes, while you've always thought of them as curses. If you're in your studies of the occult, you learn to focus your energy to change one's fate. It could be as simple as a misstep or a minor malady to something catastrophic. Placing a curse is not without its cost. Summoning these energies takes its toll on you physically and mentally. You're committed now, so you concentrate and summon your will to focus the energies. You raise your hands and focus outward from them, pointing at Perry. Negative energy flows across the room, taking shape around your target like a darkness only you can see. Perry's skin bubbles as boils form over his exposed face and hands. As the curse takes hold on him, you feel your own skin crawl as the process of summoning the dark energy has taken its toll on you. As Perry continues to break open the window, now we can deal with him while he's trying to get into the house. After all, Combat 4, baby. Combat 4. You're getting your ass whooped, Perry. You're getting your ass whooped. With Perry trying to get into your home, you have the advantage of surprise. That advantage won't last long, so you need to decide on the best course of action to deal with him. First of all, fight him off. Based on what Monroe has told me, Perry's a young vampire. Maybe I can overpower him. That's Strength 2 and Combat 4. Good odds. I'm thinking good odds. Talk to him. I'll find out what he wants and figure out a way to keep myself alive. Will talk no jutsu even work in this case? And finally, use my faith to drive him off. That's composure and faith. So-so odds. Therefore, fighting him off in hand-to-hand combat is our best option so far. Yeah, punch, aim for the head, 95% hit chance, miss. That's XCOM, baby. Perry seemed tough to fight one-on-one in the past, but now you're prepared for him. You can rough him up and throw him out of your house or even kill him. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Well, actually just a few days, but no one's going to stop me now, he says as he circles the couch. With a sudden burst, you lunge to tackle him. Your shoulder slams into his midsection as you drive him to the floor. He hits you with a thud and lets out a low grunt. Fangs protrude from his mouth in a snarl. You grip his wrists and pin his arms back to keep him from rising. I'm gonna fucking kill you, he shouts as he struggles against you. With a shout, he shoves you off of him, plants his feet on your chest, and launches you backwards. You fly a few yards through the air and stumble until your back slams against the wall. As you regain your balance, Perry is back on his feet. He rushes across the room at you, hands raised and fangs out. Now in the area, you kick the old coffee table in front of the couch, which spins in between the two of you. His right leg catches the edge and he stumbles over it. You step back and then push forward, lifting your knee onto his face. It slams against his chin, snapping his mouth closed. You hear a muffled cry of pain and he recoils, holding the bottom half of his face. You drive a punch into his stomach, doubling him over, then move behind him, plant your foot in his hip, and shove. Still bent over, he flies face forward into the wall. His head cracks against it and he drops to the floor, leaving a sizable hole in your drywall. As you approach, he pops up faster than you expected and turns to face you once again. Footsteps come in from the back hallway, and you turn to spot Kyra walking into the living room. She has Lum by the collar of his shirt and throws him to the floor, where he rolls several times before bumping into the coffee table. She found me outside. I tried to get away, he says. I got bored watching the door to the shop, she says, arms folded over her chest and settling with her hip out in a lazy stance. You look like you got your ass kicked. This piece of shit wants to fight back. Let's just do what we came here to do, Perry says. You raise your fists towards Kyra and glance at Perry, ready to strike. Just let me and Lum go. I don't want any trouble. Stay away from Sky, Salem shouts from the middle of the staircase. She holds out a revolver and takes quick steps down to the landing. Does everyone in this town own a weapon? Kyra asks. Perry looks over his shoulder, notices the gun, and raises his hands. Put that gun down before I feed it to you. Salem takes one hand off the pistol to wipe sweat from her face. She's blinking fast and breathing faster. You're gonna let Sky and Lam leave here with me, okay? Just back off. Perry laughs. You don't look so good. The gun lowers, and Salem's rapid breathing turns to wheezing. Her complexion pales, and she swoons like she's about to fall. This is the best house ever, Perry says and starts towards Salem. She shakes so hard the gun rattles out of her hand. You take a few hurried steps toward them and feel something yanking you backwards. Tumbling sideways, you see Kyra holding your shirt. Her fangs are out and she grabs your wrists to stop you from fighting back. Perry leaps forward, grabs Salem's neck, and bites. Salem's body goes limp, her weight suspended by his jaws. He grips her around the back and lets out a satisfied moan. Lam lies motionless on the floor a few feet away. The front door bursts inward and something streaks into the house. A potted plant by the door rattles and the curtains rustle. Chastain appears behind Perry, who now has a long blade through his chest. He stares at the protruding piece of steel, eyes wide and mouth hung open. This only lasts a second before he collapses to the floor. "Looks like I got here just in time," she says and catches Salem as she falls. She lays the unconscious woman gently on the floor and then turns her attention to Kyra. "Who do we have here?" Kyra takes slow steps backwards and offers a weak smile. "No one. I'm no one. Just leaving." As she turns to leave, Chastain shoots behind her, seeming to materialize across the room. There is an elegance to her movement when you can see it. She grabs the young vampire by the hair and yanks back her head. "One of Monroe's friends?" she asks and strokes her cheek with the back of her hand. Something in the way she asks tells you Chastain already knows the answer to her question. You reply? Do we still want to go through with the plan, I'm wondering? I mean, even if we say that, I don't think there is any saving for Kyra. Especially now that Perry the asshole is dead. Still, we can at least try. Yes, she's with Monroe, but I think you've made your point with Perry. You don't need to hurt her. Achievement, saved by a vampire. A vampire saved your life. A smile spreads over Chastain's face. I'm not trying to make a point to anyone. She leans into Kyra like she's nuzzling against her cheek and whispers in her ear. Though you can't hear the words, you see Kyra's eyes widen and her lips quiver. A hand flashes, and Chastain slams an object down on Kyra's chest. A piece of wood protrudes from her breast, and the young vampire struggles, arms flailing, clawing. Chastain catches one arm and holds it behind her back while the other controls her head. She stares at Kyra, watching her fight to stay alive. Chastain keeps her eyes locked on her victim like she's enjoying each moment, savoring them like a decadent dessert. You stare for a moment and quickly look away, like a child covering her eyes during a scary movie. You know vampires kill, but you never witnessed such bloodlust. It's both grotesque and compelling. You keep spying glances but feel a rumble in the pit of your stomach that turns you away. Kyra struggles like a baby gazelle caught by a cheetah. Her arms drop to her sides and her body slowly relaxes. Her eyes roll back and she sinks against Chastain, who lets her drop to the floor with a thud. The wonderful thing about waking up each night are the surprises. I love surprises. Who would have thought I'd come to your house tonight to find 2 gifts waiting for me? She says and staggers to the side before catching her balance, like she's drunk. Was that the only way to kill her? Staking her? I need to find out all I can about vampires. After all, let's commit to the path of knowledge. Chastain tilts her head back and laughs. No, and she is not actually dead. She can even still hear us. Consider her trapped in another world. You don't have to understand. Better if you don't. Your eyes fall to Kyra, whose face looks frozen in horror, but has a subtle serenity as well. Chastain steps over her body and smooths out the wrinkles in her dress. She looks around the room and her gaze stops on Lam. Hello, Amanda Chastain. And you are? Lam, whose mouth has been open this whole time, closes it and swallows hard. Then he says, I'm Lam. My name is Lam. I work in the store. I'm not a vampire. Nice to meet you, Chastain says with a slight nod of her head. And that part about you not being a vampire, good to know. What do we do with him? You ask, motioning towards Perry's unconscious body. I'll call Gabriel and ask him to deal with Perry and clean all of this up. It's his specialty. Sorry about the rug. I usually never spill a drop, but I got a bit overexcited, she says. Lam staggers forward a step and catches himself. He holds the side of his head. I'm going to go now. I have work in the morning. Oh, I guess you know that since I work for you. I think you've earned a day off, you say. If the store is open, I'm here. Nice to meet you, Miss Chastain. Okay, bye. À tout à l'heure, Chastain says with a wave of her fingers. And say hello to your parents for me, Lam. I hope to never meet them in person, she says with a smile. I'm thinking this deserves this playlist. After all, we all know what Clan Chastain is. Lam's eyes nearly bulge out of his head. He nods furiously, then presses against the wall to squeeze around her as he heads into the hallway towards the store. Salem stares on the floor and you run over to help her up. Her eyes blink rapidly and she takes a deep breath. Sit up against the wall and take a few minutes to rest. Everything is fine now, you say, supporting her while she slides her back to the wall. As her eyes focus, she stares across the room at Chastain, and a new look of horror overtakes your friend. Seeing this, you say, "Don't worry, she came to help." "Who's worried?" Salem says with a weak chuckle. "So, what now?" you say. "Gabriel is just a call away, so he'll be here shortly," Chastain says as she strolls toward the door. "I have to meet someone for dinner, but why don't I stop by later? We have a few things to discuss." She walks out of your home and you rush after her. By the time you reach the door and look outside, she's gone. You reach for a broom and hear the doorbell ring. J-Fields arrive with several buckets, unlabeled bottles of professional cleaning solutions, large trash bags, and a duffel bag full of well-used tools. He works in silence and with boundless energy. He carries out the body and scrubs out the bloodstains on the flooring and the carpet and uses his mysterious concoctions to clean the surfaces and furniture. At times you try to engage him in conversation, but even to find out what he's using that works so well, and he completely ignores you. Like this is an empty house, then he's done this 1,000 times. Well, I guess he does dislike us. We were pressing our luck with him when we visited Chastain's house, after all. Within an hour, your grandfather's home looks better than you've ever seen it. J-Field leaves without so much as a word or gesture of acknowledgement. "What a truly strange man," Salem says. Salem heads up to her room to rest, still shaken from the ordeal. You thank her for help, but all she can do is nod as she climbs the stairs. You flop down on the couch. It's been a long night already, and after all that's happened, you feel concerned. Even though I survived, this fight was harder than I expected. I need to learn more about vampires if I'm going to be a part of this conflict between Chastain and Monroe's group. Tonight proved you're out of your league. You were attacked by a relatively young, weak vampire and could have been easily killed. What if you had to fight Chastain tonight? You certainly wouldn't have been ready. If you're going to continue on this course, you've got to learn all you can and come up with some solid plans. Since you're already late to meet your friends at Gallagher's, you text them to say you can't make it. You don't want to tell them what really happened over the phone, so you just tell them an emergency came up. A knock at the door has you inviting Monroe in. She's dressed in a ripped black jeans with a t-shirt, printed with cobwebs and platform sneakers. She takes a quick tour around the living room and sits on the arm of the couch. "Wow, what happened here?" she asks. "You thought the place looked clean." "Perry stopped by. He wanted to finish what he started with me earlier. Kyra showed up too. When I offered to help you and your group, I thought I was safe from the attack." "Those two assholes were definitely acting on their own. What exactly happened?" she asks. "I don't see the need to lie on that one. Chastain showed up and killed both of them." Monroe slides forward on the arm of the couch, nearly tumbling off. "Amanda? What the fuck was she doing here? She must be on to you." She pauses and then says, "Maybe that's a good thing, though." She must have found out about the attack somehow. If it weren't for her, I'm not sure I'd be talking to you right now. "Uh-huh, you knowed it." "Damn, she killed them both. That's 2 fewer vamps we have to fight Amanda." "I thought they were your friends." Monroe shrugs. "Kyra and I had our ups and downs. She saved my life once in Chicago, but we weren't exactly besties. Perry was just a soldier on the battlefield, so to speak. Once we dealt with Amanda, Perry was on my list." She pops out a rainbow-colored device that looks like a lighter, sucks in the mouthpiece, and blows out a short puff of pink air. "Vampires can vape?" you ask. She takes another puff, holds it, and lets the vapors leak out of the corners of her mouth. "Eric is quite gifted. They practice a certain kind of biochemistry and figured out a way to make it work for us. They're practically a magician," she says. "Is there blood in that?" "Forget about vaping, we need to talk," she says and kicks off her shoes, revealing cobweb-patterned socks that match her shirt. You said it'd help us, and that time is coming fast. It's the summer festival. Every year Amanda hosts some big over-the-top event. This year, she's planning something in Long Valley Park. I think she knows that's my playground and wants to use the summer festival to flush us out. This is our chance to turn the tables on her. If we can figure out when and where she'll be most vulnerable, we can take our shot at her. That's where you come in. I need you to find out what she has planned. Let's see. I'll find out where she's gonna be. I'm sure I can convince Chastain to tell me her plans. Actually, that's a good question first. Do you know anything about Duke Bowie's rampage through the city? I have a feeling he was under some kind of supernatural influence. She takes a puff of her vape and slowly nods her head. It was Amanda. I'm not sure why she did it. I have a guess that it had to do with the mayor and sheriff. She wanted to fuck with them to keep them in line. When I was living with Amanda, she had Duke Bowie stop over from time to time. He is one of the biggest dudes in the Heights, and she loved to feed on him. She also took pleasure in getting him riled up. It's a trick of the mind that she can push emotions to the extremes. If you're sad, she can make you suicidal. If you're happy, she can make you downright orgasmic. And if you're angry, she can make you rage. I'm thinking she tinkered with Duke's mind, gave him a bit of her blood to beef up his strength and pain tolerance, and then set him loose in the middle of town. Now, I don't know any of this for sure, but it sounds like Amanda's doing. A car horn beeps outside and you peek through the front window just as Chastain steps out of a black SUV. You rush to the door and look through the peephole. Chastain's here. She's walking towards the house. Monroe pops off the couch, stocking feet sliding out on the hardwood floor. No bugs just yet. Fuck me, I gotta get out of here. Through the store? She starts towards the black hallway. It's all boarded and locked because the window got smashed earlier by Kyra. Monroe stops and skids. I'm not hiding in the fucking closet just so she can find me and rip my throat out. The doorbell rings and a knob rattles like someone's trying to come in. 1 minute, you shout. Monroe runs by you, vaults over the stair rail, and runs up the steps to the second floor. I'll listen at the top of the stairs. Get her talking about where she'll be at the summer festival. You open the door to see a smiling Chastain. She's wearing a low-cut black dress with a wide zipper up the middle and spike-heeled boots. Told you I'd be back. Miss me? She slinks by you, pressing her body onto yours for a brief moment as she passes, her heels tapping on the hardwood floor as she makes her way across the room. Gabriel did a wonderful job here. The man has a gift with a scrub brush. She runs a finger along an end table and wipes her hands together. Does he clean up a lot of crime scenes? She laughs. I'm not sure I should answer at the risk of incriminating myself. No, but seriously, Jericho Heights is a peaceful town, and I like to keep the peace. Murder can really break the tranquility. See, you're not the only one with a sense of humor. She reclines on the couch in the living room. Please, come sit with me. You sit and stare at her. Her long, shapely legs lie across the middle cushion with her feet dangling off the edge. She flips her blonde hair to one side of her shoulder and fixes a long necklace, a rose with a ruby center, which sits just above her cleavage. When we last spoke, you said you needed some time to think about helping me. I'm sorry to push you, but have you come to a decision? Composure and subterfuge. I don't think we'll be able to make this roll. So let's go with the second option. I'll help you, but I want something in return. I'm not about to risk my life for nothing. Chastain lips coil to the side in what some may call a smile. What is it that you want? And just to keep up the appearance, let's go with something a little basic. I need help paying off my grandfather's debt to the First Bank of Jericho, otherwise Mayor Bumpley will foreclose on the house and the store. Chastain's nose wrinkles at the sound of the mayor's name. That can be arranged. Let's just say Marvin owes me far more than any debt you may have with his bank. Yeah, so many checks, such small skill, so few XP points. But we're not exactly the most clandestine person around here. She moves to the edge of the couch and leans towards you. She's so close you should feel her breath. You notice for the first time, she's not breathing. If you help me with these young vampires, I swear you'll have what you want. It's a deal. I'm so glad you've changed your mind. I knew we could be friends. Jericho Heights is lucky to have you. She looks above the mantel of your fireplace at a photo of you with your grandfather. She seems distracted for a moment and then turns to you with a smile. Tomorrow night begins the summer festival. I need you to lure the young vampires to a certain location. I'll also need you to keep Monroe away from the rest and distracted. Gabriel will be in touch to give you the details sometime in the early evening. You may ask him any other questions you have then. She rises from the couch and walks past you. Stopping at the foot of your staircase, she glances over her shoulder at you. She saunters up the steps wearing a smile. When she makes it halfway, you run up to catch to her. That's when you remember Monroe ran up there. By the time you reach the landing, Chastain's gliding into your grandfather's bedroom. You peek into a spare bedroom and see the window wide open. She must have escaped. It's been years since you've stepped foot into his room. It was always off limits. Your grandfather's rule was the only lock the door needed. Even now that you own the house, you haven't had the will to enter it. But now, you walk along the hall and see one of Chastain's boots and then another. Stepping into the room, you see her running her toes through the shag carpet with a giggle. She turns to face you and grabs the wide zipper in front of her dress between her cleavage. I've been a vampire for a long time, and though I crave blood, I also crave something else. She slides the zipper down until it's just above her navel. The top of her dress splits but hangs on her breasts. Should I continue? I am momentarily reminded of a certain image, which I will post in the corresponding channel after the stream. I'll just need to hang on to this particular image in my mind, and I think I'm going to quickly pull it up so that I do not forget. So give me a second. It was somewhere around here, I'm thinking. Yep. Should be good enough. Now then, where was I? Let's play dumb. What exactly are we doing? I've obviously never been with a vampire before. Is she gonna drink my blood? Can we have sex? I'm excited to see where this goes. Dude, come on, do it. Do it. Flip the switch, see what happens. I'm excited. Achievement, Blood Kiss. You let a vampire feed on you during sex. Chastain purses her lips at a coy smile. We're going to have a bit of fun. She steps towards you, hips swaying hypnotically. I would love to feed on your blood. If you'd like, you can enjoy a bit of mine, too. Now she stands a few inches away and moves into you with a kiss. Her lips are soft and warm against yours, and you can smell the sweet scent of perfume. Her tongue glides into your mouth playfully. Her hands guide yours to the zipper of her dress, and she helps you pull it down in one long, slow motion. You glance down as it falls off of her. You're not sure how long you stand there and stare. You're mesmerized by her form, the perfect human body. No, not human. She hasn't been human for a long time. She guides you to the bed, and you fall backwards onto it. Her naked body climbs over you, and she tears your shirt in two, exposing your bare chest. You're breathing so hard you feel lightheaded, and when she moves her lips to your neck, you let out a soft moan. You feel pressure against your skin, a poke that does not break through. I want to feel you in my mouth, she whispers. I won't take much, but it will be better than anything you've felt before. An image of Adam flashes before your eyes. Her tongue licks down your neck and presses into you, prodding, testing, marking her spot. She lowers her mouth to your throat and your body tenses. You wrap your arms around her and feel the smooth skin of her back. as she glides her teeth along the outer part of your neck. Anticipation grows and you're breathing harder. You hear your heart racing. She slips her fingers inside you and your body tenses in pleasure. She nibbles on your neck and you gasp. Her tongue flicks against the spot like she's warming up for the bite. And then you feel the puncture. A moment of pain and a wave of pleasure. Your eyes roll up and you arch your shoulders as her mouth sucks on your throat. She moans as she draws your blood and you hear loud gasps and cries only to realize they're yours. Your mind slips away. Before long, you're dreaming, lost in another world. Images of Chastain flash, sitting up laughing, blood smeared on her face, biting your wrist, your inner thigh, a spout of blood from your nipple into her waiting mouth. Her naked body spinning in circles around your room. Her staring at the photo of your grandfather. More laughter, more blood. A fevered nightmare. Somewhere, you hear her talking as if you can't hear her. When she mentions your grandfather by name, a sudden clarity fills your room, your mind, and you focus. Still, you only hear bits and pieces, lost in the euphoria caused by her painful kiss. What do you think now, George? Did you see me? Fucked her on your bed. Can you see us? Can you hear how she screamed my name? Chastain's laughter fills your ears, and everything spins again until it's nothing but darkness. Something tells me, ladies and gentlemen, we have been ghouled. After all, blood kiss is what they call ghouling. If we go by the relationship stats as seen here, Adam, best friend. Amanda Chastain, friend. Deputy Sheriff April Maya, acquaintance. Gabriel, stranger. Jake, acquaintance. Lacey, friend. Lam, friend. Michaela, friend. Marcus, acquaintance. Mayor Bumpley, acquaintance. Monroe Duncan, acquaintance. The McRaes, acquaintance. Young Vampires, acquaintance. Salem, best friend. Sheriff Ray, acquaintance. And if we go to the achievements, it should be there. Blood kiss, let a vampire feed on you. Although, maybe we haven't been ghouled just yet. We'll see soon enough. Chapter 11, Group Tactics. Good and evil are silly lies, nonsense put forth to plague honest, sensible men. George R.R. Martin, Fever Dream. Well, thank you, Martin, for being a cynical asshole once again. He will never, ever. A crack of thunder wakes you from a sound sleep at 8:10 in the morning. Rain hits the windows in solid sheets. How will the summer festival go on today in a full-fledged summer storm? Angel lies on the windowsill, her back rising and falling as she sleeps. You glance next to you and see an empty bed. Of course, Chastain's gone. Sunlight. You check your neck? No holes. You can't believe she drank your blood. You feel weak, disoriented. Your mind seems disconnected from your body. You stop by Salem's room and see she's gone. You wonder how she feels after Perry's attack last night. The bed's made and her keys are gone from the dresser. Maybe she stopped over at her mom's house or had to run some errands. You close the door behind you and head downstairs. By the time you open the store, the rain has stopped and the sun shines brighter over Jericho Heights. Lam seems surprised you opened the store before he arrived, but he does not make one of his usual critical comments. You even see him petting Angel, even though he often avoids her. You're in a good mood. He smiles. My mother and father are back together. I hope it lasts, and while I have my doubts, things are looking up for the Fun family. The two of you work all morning in selecting products for your booth at the festival. You load up a dozen boxes, drive them over to the festival grounds, and unpack. It's located in an event space in Long Valley Park, with all of the vendors setting up just past the main gate. By the time you arrive for your first trip, you see dozens of other vendors already set up booths. The rain has turned the dirt to mud, but it's already drying. Food trucks make up long rows near the concessions area, and a central stage has a crew setting up lights and a sound system. From your little booth area, designated by a collapsible square tent top and two folding tables, you can see coordinators in blue shirts running frantically through the grounds, directing traffic and ordering workers around via walkie-talkies. You return home, and Lam repacks the red beast. I've handled a few customers today, and one return. With everyone going to the festival today, I didn't think anyone would be buying here. It would be smart for me to work the store while you handle the booth. I'll close a bit early and come over to help you here. Sounds good, and thanks. I really appreciate all of your help. He doesn't reply, but you catch him smiling as he walks towards your car with crate in hand. By midday, the fog burns off and the sun rides high in the sky. For a few seconds, you stand out in the sunshine and appreciate the warmth. You and Lam have finished transferring goods for your booth. You're looking forward to this, even given the impending battle you expect tonight. Until then, you'll focus on the festival and make some money in the process. Lam comes off with an empty bin in the handcart. Some man stopped me outside and handed me this. He holds out a letter. The return address shows it's from the First Bank of Jericho Heights. Opening it, you read a letter from the Vice President, Loretta Watts. The letter states that an administrative oversight has been discovered and it has deemed the loan on your grandfather's property null and void. It provides a few details on the nature of this oversight. You slip the letter in your pocket. See, Chastain is actually holding up her end of the bargain. I'm heading back to the festival. Do you need anything before I go? You say to Lam. No, I'm perfectly self-sufficient, he says. As you start towards the door, he adds, Thank you for hiring me. I know it may not mean much to you, but I do enjoy this job and working with you. Thanks. I'm glad you're here too. I appreciate all you do for the store, and for me. You step outside and hop into the Red Beast to cross town to the festival. By 6 o'clock, most of the town has packed into the festival grounds to enjoy the amusement rides, concession area, and vendors. Though the gates opened hours ago, the official kickoff begins at 8 when the mayor holds a ceremony on stage in the Welcome Pavilion on the south side of Long Valley Park. You had a steady stream of customers visiting your booth and looking over your products. Salem even brought you a sign with a tangled thread in calligraphy to hang up in the booth. Lam has joined you to help manage sales, and he stands at the edge of your booth enticing people to come over like a carnival barker. Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins, you say, handing back her credit card. Lam, can you bring this to her car? Mrs. Jenkins smiles. The trunk is open, dear. Sure thing. Lam lifts her package and walks towards the parking lot. Thank you, dear. You've always been so good to me, she says and looks around the festival grounds with sadness in her eyes. I can only wish Baxter were here to see the festival. This was his favorite event of the year. Goodbye, dear. She walks off towards the Bacon and Spuds food truck. Remember, she's talking about her dog that she lost in an unfortunate attack of someone that's been, well, driven to rage by a vampire. How could we forget that? As you turn back to your booth, you spot Salem and Adam cutting across the field towards you. She rides the back of his wheelchair, hops off and helps him over a patch of crabgrass. When they reach your booth, Adam greets you with a kiss. Sky? Do you see the sky? It's amazing, she says, looking at an orange and red sunset blooming on the horizon. That's why it's called the golden hour. Adam holds a hand over his eyes and looks at the sky. A guitar case hangs from the back of his chair and he takes it off and puts it in the back of your booth. How's business been going? Salem asks, looking through one of your displays. Hey, Lam, how you doing? He walks over to her and fixes the items she was just playing with. Don't worry, I'll put these back in order, he says, shooting her a glare. You hear the shrill voice of the mayor on your right and turn to see him and Sheriff Ray in a heated exchange. The sheriff starts walking away from him and the mayor grabs the sheriff's arm. Ray looks at the mayor's hand and yanks his arm away before walking off. The sheriff marches through the field near the parking lot, and the mayor follows after him. Sky, are you listening? Adams asks. No, sorry, I need to step away for a few minutes, I say to Adam and then follow the sheriff and mayor. This should be good. No problem. I'm going to grab an ice cream, Adam says as you walk away. You rush through the field in a diagonal zigzag, maneuvering around festival goers and dodging motorized carts. Towards the edge of the parking lot, a chartered bus lets out a new wave of people, and the mayor and sheriff get lost in the crowd. Quickening your pace, you race to find them. You only saw the beginning of their exchange, and you've never seen these two, perhaps the most powerful duo in Jericho Heights, arguing like this. So, first of all, I run as fast as I can and maneuver through the crowd to catch up to them. Dexterity and athletics. 2 and 2. Coin toss. They must have got into the woods just past the parking lot. I'm sure I can track them there. Wits and survival. Another coin toss. I'll climb on top of a car and scan the area. I'm sure I can spot them. Resolve and awareness. Awareness. That's another coin toss. And finally, someone in the crowd must have seen them. I'll ask someone who stepped off the bus which way the mayor and sheriff went. Charisma and persuasion. I honestly don't like any of those odds. But you know what? You know what we're gonna go with? I think out of all of these, let's try the final approach. Charisma and persuasion. It's 1 plus 3 as opposed to 2 plus 2. So maybe, just maybe, we'll get it. You don't have time to search through the entire crowd. That would take too long, and the mayor and sheriff could get anywhere in no time. You could get on that bus or get picked up by they could get on that bus or get picked up by a car. They were arguing, and you want to know why. These two run Jericho Heights, and at least on the human side. Whatever they're talking about could be relevant to your current situation. You need to hear what they're talking about. You look through the crowd of visitors coming your way. You recognize one as a customer in your store. She had an odd name. What was it? Adeline? Good to see you again, you say. She looks up from her phone, startled. You see the moment of recognition flash in her eyes. Her waist hair blows sideways in the breeze and she pushes up her glass. Do I know you? From my store, the Tinkle Thread. I don't usually shop customers, but I just blurted out your name when I saw you. Sorry to bother you. Her mouth parts in a tiny smile. It's no bother. I love your store. I loved it when the old owner was there. Do you have a booth at the festival this year? I sure do. Select customers get a 10% discount with code Adeline. She snorts in laughter, which makes her glasses slide down. She pushes them up. I'll be sure to come by then. Hey, before you go, did you happen to see Mayor and Sheriff near the big bus? I've been looking for them. She turns and looks in the direction of the bus. I think I saw them by the front of the bus. The mayor looked upset. They were waiting to cross the road on the other side of the bus. Thank you, Adeline. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the festival, and I hope to see you at my booth. You hear her say goodbye on your way past, and you rush along an empty row of cars until you reach the front of the bus. You scan the other side of the service road and spot the mayor and sheriff entering the woods. Rushing after them, you slip your way around the trees while staying low to avoid detection. They haven't moved far into the woods. The mayor sits on a rock the size of a couch, and the sheriff leans against the tree with a cigar in his mouth. This is ridiculous even for you, Marv. Dragged me out of God knows where. Ain't this a bit clandestine? The sheriff blows a puff of air, which quickly dissipates. We need to talk, and you know she's always listening, the mayor says and fans out his fingers on both hands, pointing them at the sky. I need your support here, and frankly I'm surprised I even have to ask for it. We need to have a unified front. If we put enough pressure on her, she'll have no choice but to give in to our demands. Sheriff Ray stares at the mayor for a beat. He flicks an end of his cigar, and the ashes catch in a breeze and flutter away. Only you can prevent forest fires, Mayor Bumpley says, watching the flying embers in disapproval. Are you going to answer me? The sheriff clears his throat and spits on the ground. I don't have demands. You do. Make them yourself. Don't you want more? How much longer can you do this, Raymond? 5 years? 3? Even with her little cocktail, you can't go much longer than that. How much money can you squirrel away by then? The mayor asks, spitting out the questions. Think of all the money she's pouring into that stupid library. And the money she's using to promote this place, the land she's buying up, you'd think she was gonna open her own amusement park. If she wants more people in this town, she can afford to compensate those of us running it. I'm not looking to go up against her. You remember Duke Bowie? It wasn't that long ago. She can turn a person into a homicidal maniac and send them after us. Don't you think that display was for us? To keep us in line? So if you want to demand more from her, go for it. Don't need me for that. The sheriff bites the end of his cigar and spits on it. And spits it out. It breaks in his mouth and comes out like a tiny shotgun blast. She's hosting a scavenger hunt tonight. She's one of the items players have to find, which means she'll be out alone in the old gazebo by the pond, waiting for poor slobs to find her. No, that's the sheriff speaking, so... She's hosting a scavenger hunt tonight. She's one of the items players have to find, which means she'll be out alone in the old gazebo by the pond, waiting for the poor slobs to find her, he says with a cartoonish smile. Let's go together and meet her there. We can hear her demands. I needed that remarkable stoic Raymond... Alistair Stair, the kind of... that... No, that's actually the mayor speaking. God damn it, I'm... Let's go and together and meet her there. We can hear her demands. I need that remarkable stoic Raymond Alistair Stair, the kind of make Charles Bronson flinch. The sheriff pulls out the cigar in the trunk of the tree and flicks what's left into a pile of leaves. Don't sell yourself short. You're at least half the man I am. Look, Marv, I'm content with what I get. No need to get greedy. That's the problem with people like you, always looking for more. You found the golden goose and now you're squeezing out the eggs. Not my style. Well, good luck with the Queen of Jericho Heights. The sheriff turns and starts back towards the parking lot. If you're not with me, Raymond, you're against me. Sheriff Ray pauses, shrugs, and continues on. The mayor waits a few moments and then marches after him back towards the festival grounds. You turn and walk back to the vendor area. The sounds of cymbals clashing and drums rolling tells you a marching band must be coming. Sure enough, the Jericho Heights High School Wolves march through the center of the festival, at least 3 dozen strong. You can't hear anything over the clamor of the music, so you must just stand back and watch them parade by your booth. While they play, you look around the festival grounds as even more people have arrived. You notice the stage is almost set up for the mayor's kickoff address. He now stands by a voter registration booth. Nearby sits a Bloodmobile, a full-size trailer with a sign reading, "Save a Life, Donate Today." Another sign reads, "Sponsored by Jericho Heights Wellness Clinic." On your left, Jenny Barlow holds her ears and grimaces at the marching band as the marching band continues on. You saw her yesterday at your grandfather's grave. Cymbals clang and trumpets blare as the music changes to a familiar tune. Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. It's around this time that you spot Jace carrying a keg on his shoulder and walking into a roped-off area designated as Gallagher Tavern's beer garden. Tubas groan and the band begins marching again. As they file through the crowd and make their way past your booth, you spot Eric looking through a table of antiques in the booth across from yours. Salem sits at the back of your booth with her head in her lap and her arms wrapped around her head. When you move over to check on her, she sits up. The music was so loud, I just felt overwhelmed. Her cheeks look tear-stained and she's paler than ever. Just relax. The band's moving on. You say and rub her back. I'll be okay in a minute. I'm just going to sit here for a little while. Adam rolls up to her with a bottle of water, which she takes gratefully and sips from. As Jenny walks by, you wave to her and call her name. She turns to you, and a smile breaks out on her face. Hey there, Sky. How's it hanging? How's the house and the store treating you? Doing fine all around. Store's open for business and things are moving along. I'll hang in there. Your grandfather had a rough time with that store, but he is stuck with it. I know he was struggling with his finances there for a while. I'm gonna do my best to make it work. Jenny's eyes narrow and she gets lost in thought for a moment. It gets so crowded that a few people squeeze between the two of you. When the surge passes, she shakes her head and continues. Folks are downright rude around here. No respect for personal space, Jenny says. Anyway, it's really not my place to tell you about your grandfather, but I don't know who else would fill you in. What do you mean? She sucks in a breath and exhales. Your grandfather wasn't in any kind of financial trouble until she moved in. She moves in close to you and whispers, Chastain. What does this have to do with her? Your grandfather hated her and she hated him. I don't know where it all came from, but I can tell you, if she were dangling from a ledge, he'd slam the window on her fingers. They couldn't stand each other, and at one point she started sabotaging his store. First it was just minor things, spreading rumors about shoddy merchandise and poor service, one-star reviews out of the blue. Then it got worse. Safety inspectors from the county came and shut him down until he paid heavy fines. His insurance company cancelled his policy with no explanation. A few days later, a broken pipe caused a flood and he lost thousands of dollars of product. Couldn't put in a claim. Man went through living hell. I felt so bad for him and did what I could to fix the place up for free. I would have done anything to help him through his troubles. Ginny looks away and her cheeks turn red. I had no idea any of this happened. Of course you didn't know. Why would you? Your grandfather kept it a secret to spare you and the rest of the family from all his tribulations. He took out some kind of big loan in the store, and I thought that was the beginning of the end. Then all of a sudden, that witch recommended his store and her stupid podcast, and everybody came flooding back in. I'd have thought Oprah had told them to go. Anyway, his insurance came back, and all of his inspection problems went away. George wouldn't tell me what happened, but I think he made some kind of truce with that devil woman. Your head swoons and you look up. Clouds in the sky swirl as you're hit with a wave of dizziness. All of this was going on, and your grandfather withheld it from you. He was sick with cancer and dealing with all of these calamities and still never told his own family about any of it. You feel a hand on your shoulder, and as you look down, Ginny says, I'm sorry to hit you with so much. Probably not the right time or place, but I've been meaning to tell you. I just haven't wanted to go back to that house. It's hard for me, but you deserve the truth. Anyways, I gotta go. Remember to call me when you need something fixed up. I'll give you the family price. Ginny heads off through the center of the festival grounds and you wander back to your booth. On the way back to your booth, J-Field stops in front of you, blocking your path. Startled, you step back and stare at him. He's dressed in long, powder blue shorts and argyle socks that end just below his knobby knees. He wears a Visit Jericho Heights t-shirt and a gold visor. We need to talk, Sky. This won't take long, he says and points towards a canopied area beyond the food truck section. You move with him through the crowd and he slips around the people with an odd finesse for someone so old and lanky. When you reach the spot, you see several lawn chairs and a table laid out with covered platters of hors d'oeuvres and coolers of refreshments. J-Field backs into the far corner and draws you over. About 20 feet away, two police officers hang around near tables of pastries and coffee dispensers, though they're too far away to hear your conversation. Of course, you're aware of why I'm here. Miss Chastain has asked me to provide you with instructions for this evening. You will need to fetch a pen and a slip of... Will you need to fetch a pen and a slip of paper to write this down? I can wait, he sneers. I think I'll manage. Can we get on with this? Very well. Miss Chastain is hosting a scavenger hunt tonight, something she feels would appeal to the locals. You interrupted him. I know a little bit about the scavenger hunt already. She'll be at the gazebo, right? J-Field raises an eyebrow. Exactly. At 11 p.m. the event ends, and she wishes you to bring Monroe to that spot, alone. It's your job to keep the other young vampires away from that meeting between Miss Chastain and Monroe, though I wouldn't be surprised if they show. She has asked me to aid you should you need help. I'm more than capable of taking at least one of them down. Now, do you have any questions? I want J-Field to think we're friends, so it'll be easier to manipulate him. I think we'll go through with our original plan. If you're gonna have to deal with J-Field, so why not get him to like you? It'll make things easier in the long run. You say to him, let's see, what does Chastain want with Monroe? She could kill a young vampire easily, so why this elaborate plan for her? Charisma and persuasion. They all 1 in 3. Or, what's the deal between you and Chastain? Are you her servant, her equal, or do you have some other role? Manipulation and intimidation. I like the odds on that one. Alternatively, is Amanda going to live up to her end of our deal? I need to get something out of this for putting my life on the line. That's a stupid question because we've already seen that she has committed to her end of the bargain. Lastly, Monroe and her crew are planning to attack Amanda tonight. We have to warn her, if we want to stick through with Amanda. Or, just forget about this and I better get back to my booth now. So we'll go in with the second option. What's the deal between you and Chastain? Are you her servant, her equal, or do you have some other role? J-Field's eyes narrow, but his expression holds more curiosity than anger. What a strange question. I'm not her equal, nor am I her servant. Not all relationships require a label to exist. We provide for one another. I tend to her affairs during the day and we share the nights together. Now, is that all you want to ask me? Oh shit, I guess that attempt failed. So let's think about that other one. And by that other one, I'm guessing we can roll the dice on what does Chastain want with Monroe? She could kill a young vampire easily, so why this elaborate plan for her? Jayfield smirks and breathes out a long sigh. That's not really for me to say. Seriously, Gabriel, just tell me, what's the difference? Monroe will be dead soon anyway. I really don't know why Miss Chastain cares so much about Monroe. If I knew, I would surely tell you. Let's move on. Jayfield's aversion to talking about the subject indicates he knows more than he's telling. Chastain and Monroe have some greater connection than they are sharing with you. Is Amanda gonna live up to her end of our deal? It's a stupid question, but let's try it anyway. Jayfield's stance stiffens. Miss Chastain is a person of honor. She stands by her word. You can count on any deal you may have with her. There is no need to question her integrity. That's good to hear. I'm taking on a lot of risk. And no, we're of course not gonna rat out Monroe and her crew, so I better get back to my booth now. Gabriel nods with a smirk. Yes, I must be off. Lots to do. He takes a look around the festival grounds and takes a deep breath. His nose shrivels and he squeezes his lips together like he tasted something unpleasant. He looks across the crowds of people and his face turns more sour, like he's watching teenagers toss beer cans on his perfectly manicured lawn. As he walks away, he fastidiously avoids any contact with the other fairgoers. You watch him gingerly weave through the crowd until he disappears into a tent. Back at your booth, you notice the mayor looking at a circular coffee table you have for sale. He takes out a dainty tin of mints and pops one into his mouth. He coughs slightly into a white-gloved hand and then clears his throat. Glad to see you made it, Mayor Bumpley says and fixes a price tag on a Jericho Heights t-shirt on display. Quite a turnout today. You'll be a fool not to take advantage of all these customers in one place. Anyway, don't mind me. I'm just stopping by for a moment. While we're here, let's press the issue. So can we discuss the loan in my store? Mayor Bumpley turns to you and clasps his hands together. The loan you and your grandfather took out in your building? Actually, that matter may have been resolved. You see, a colleague of mine pointed out an error on our side, and it's likely we will terminate the contract. Wait, how is that possible? The mayor sucks in a breath through his teeth and stammers as he searches for words. This colleague is actually a friend of yours. Once she gives me the word, the loan will... He waggles his fingers through the air. The mayor goes back to looking through your wares, and you take a step back from him. Obviously, he means Chastain. She must have laid the groundwork to carry out your favor. Now you just have to live up to your end of the deal. Well, it's been nice talking to you. Now, get out of here. You move into the back of the booth to check on receipts from the last few sales. After a few minutes, the mayor leaves your area and mingles with the crowd on his way toward the front stage. 7 o'clock. The festival continues, and even more townspeople arrive at the night as the night draws closer. Sound checks for the main game stretch through the overhead speaker system. Onlookers take up the first dozen rows of chairs in front of the stage while the lines for dinner extend through the middle of the festival grounds. Customers continue shopping your booth and sales have been steady. With Lam standing in the walkway and enticing people to check out your products, he's driven even more sales. You'll make a profit for the one day, though you need to pay for him and the festival for your booth space. As you walk away from your booth for a fresh cup of coffee, you feel a presence by your side. Before you can even turn to see who's next to you, you're pushed behind a food truck. A figure in a military cap circles you. As she turns, you see a semi-familiar face. And by that semi-familiar face, you can probably guess who that is. But you will, of course, find out in a moment. Other than that, what was the next track that I would like to play? You know what? Let's go. with that one. If only because it has Shadows of New York as its cover. As its cover picture. Julia Sawinski, my beloved. Annie Skeen. It's her, and it's not her. She does not look like the photo on the back of her book, nor the grainy images from the newspapers. I'm Annie Skeen. I'm here to help. Her hair has been shaved down to a crew cut, and she has a pronounced jawline, sharp like it could cut granite. Black tattoos creep up her neck with teardrops linked beneath the corners of her eyes. We need to talk, she says, her head swiveling around as she scans the area. I will grab this picture of her because I'm certain someone will appreciate it. Someone will. Someone who we both know. But let's get back to it. What are you doing here? Taking care of a few problems in this town. We came by the house of a certain acquaintance of ours. You're smart for figuring it all out. I broke out of prison not too long ago, and you can count me in for whatever plans you get cooking. By the way, I'm Annis. The smell of fried dough floats off the truck and makes your stomach growl. I've heard through the grapevine the bloodsucker will be here. I've been tracking your movements, and I assume you're making your move tonight. I went in. Well, can't say no to that. We can definitely use your help. If she's a vampire hunter, she'll be valuable in battle to come. A pair of sheriffs walk by the front of the donut truck. When you turn your back to see Annis, she's gone. As you return to your booth, you notice most of the vendors in the area closing shop. You decide to do the same. As you lower the canopy, you notice Marcus and Lacey walking up to your booth. Marcus holds a large bag over his shoulder like he's doing camping, while Lacey is dressed for the occasion in jeans and a t-shirt. You can count on one hand the number of times she's dressed casually in your presence. Salem pulls down another side of the canopy and yanks her finger back with a yelp. Ouch! She puts her pinky finger in her mouth. A tetanus shot will be the least of our worries tonight, Adam says as he packs a box and tapes the top. When all the canopies are down, your small group fits inside the area with relative privacy. Even the noise of the crowd seems dimmer inside the improvised tent. Overhead lights, kept on for the festival, shine through the seams and cast a red hue over all of you. From somewhere outside comes the voice of someone yelling over and over again for someone named Jesse. I wonder if they're looking for the cook. Marcus lowers his back to the ground, crouches beside it, and unzips the top. You all know I work at the Army-Navy store. I got us some supplies, but I couldn't take too many. I can spare a few if anyone needs a firearm, he says. You look through the bag and take a Glock 19 and a hunting knife. Lacey reaches into Marcus's bag and pulls out a crossbow. I've actually fired one of these at my grandparents' house. They were hunters and only used bows and crossbows. She holds it up to the light streaming through the canvas and inspects the weapon with fascination. Adam lifts his guitar case from the floor and sets it on a folding table now cleared of products you were selling earlier. He unlatches the case along with its length and pulls back the lid, revealing a rifle and several parts. He stares at the weapon and takes deep breaths while his hands hover over the barrel. You brought the rifle? That can't be the same one, you see. That's the one, Adam says. He lifts two pieces and fits them together until they each click. While he assembles the weapon, you focus on Marcus, who sifts through his bag, pulls out a heavy revolver, and holds it to Salem. No thanks, brought my own, she says and lifts up the front of her shirt. A revolver is tucked into the front of her pants. Suit yourself, Marcus says and stands holding a semi-automatic rifle with a complex scope. This is an Alexander Arms AR-15 chambered in 50 caliber. 50 caliber Beowulf with a threaded tank brake. You know, to cut down the recoil. I didn't know they made AR-15s in 50 cal. I've got twin 10-round magazines taped together for quick reload and a Vortex Spitfire prism scope. Damn, Marcus, you really know your guns. That's some serious hardware you got there. Got it for myself as a Christmas gift last year. So what are we going to talk about the plan for tonight? They have for some time. Holy. What will they think up next? Let's see. We're gonna help the young vampires kill Chastain. She's the greater threat to Jericho Heights. Alternatively, we're gonna lead the young vampires to Chastain and let them fight it out. They'll weaken themselves so we can kill whoever's left. Fits in 556 megs. Absolutely incredible. And it's not even a bobbed invention. Absolutely incredible, let me tell you what. Yes, I didn't know, but I am a vampire hunter too. And if you care to make a bet, I'll make a bet with you. Anyway, are we going to help young vampires kill Chastain? Or do we let them kill each other and then pick off the survivors? I need to change a few parts and boom, 50 cal capable. I see. I see. However, options are, we're gonna kill Chastain. Later tonight, she'll be in Long Valley Park by herself. That's when we'll strike. We're gonna help the young vampires kill Chastain. She's the greater threat to Jericho Heights. We're going to lure the young vampires to Chastain and help her kill them. We're gonna lead the young vampires to Chastain and let them fight it out. They'll weaken themselves so we can kill whoever's left. Or, we need to negotiate peace between Chastain and the young vampires. This war has been going on for a long while, a lot of blood has been shed on both sides, so a good truce will help end this needless aggression between the two parties involved. I am of course going to stick to the original plan, with helping the young vampires kill Chastain. We'll see what happens next. Chastain has taken over the city and feeds on the people here. The young vampires are only here to stop her. If we all work together, we may have a chance to beat Chastain. Without the young vampires, I doubt we'll win. I feel really uneasy about this, Lacey says, but I'm willing to follow you for now. I don't trust these other vampires, but I agree we may need their help against Chastain. The other is not in agreement. Was made for checkpoints in Iraq, made to fuck up engine blocks. Understandable. A 50 cal can definitely mess up an engine block, but good. So we know her exact location? Marcus asks as he loads rounds into a magazine. She'll be at that white gazebo, the one near the old pond, you see. Salem twists a lock of her hair. Do you really think she'll be alone? I don't think she'll willingly go anywhere where she's vulnerable. Chastain is overconfident. She would never expect people in Jericho Heights attacking her. This is our best shot at getting her alone, you say. A crow caws in the forest. Marcus ducks as something swoops over his head. What happens when we get to the gazebo? How are we going to kill her? Adam asks. An ambush will work, Marcus says. We have to move fast and attack her all at once. I don't care what she is, she can't take all that damage and survive. But what if bullets don't really stop her? Do we even know how to kill her? Salem asks. Bullets will hurt vampires, but won't kill them. Only fire and sunlight will get the job done, you say. What are we going to do? Tie her up and wait for the sun? Salem asks anxiously. I brought handcuffs, Marcus offers. She's a vampire. Do you think she can't get out of handcuffs? What if she turns into mist or a bat or something? Salem continues. We can just shoot her from far away, like snipers, Lacey interjects, trying to get a handle on the conversation. What's the point of getting close to her? It just exposes us to counterattack, Lacey says, and then turns to you. What do you think? Well, now that I stop and think about it, first of all, wow. Everyone is packing. Except me, I got a Glock 19. Not to diminish the value of Glock, but a Glock against a vampire isn't gonna do me much good. After all, lol 9mm, as they say. Secondly, our course of action is... I like the idea of weakening and restraining her. Once she's subdued, fire or sunlight can destroy her. Or, actually, let's snipe her from afar and then move in for the kill. I doubt she can dodge a bullet from 200 yards. I like Lacey's idea. Alternatively, we should ambush her. If we all coordinate attacks at the same time, we'll have overwhelming odds in our favor. Because J-Field, remains an unknown variable in this. He may be scouting out and about, looking for precisely this kind of ambush, and disposing of it. So do we go with Marcus's suggestion, Lacey's suggestion, or take the middle option? Ah, screw it. Let's snipe her from afar and then move in for the kill. Or an ambush. Sure, we should ambush her. Marcus gives you a nod and the others agree to your plan. We have a 30-minute walk ahead of us. If no one else has anything to say, let's get moving, you say. We're all in this together and I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else. A long trail runs through the back of Long Valley Park, used mainly by joggers and bikers looking for distance and solitude. With the summer festival in full swing, the event has closed off the access roads to vehicles for the safety of festival goers. You and your group pass the roadblocks and make your way towards the gazebo. Moonlight bathes the land in a pale yellow glow, but the flashlights Marcus brought allow you to see the trail ahead of you. It's a straight shot from south to north, with thinly wooded areas on both sides. At regular intervals, you see placards describing specific types of trees or flowering plants brought here from the other ends of the earth, donations to the park. A grove of Japanese redwood stretches tall into the sky. Alaskan rose shrubs were planted here in 2009. You find yourself reading them as you walk, a way to keep yourself distracted from the task at hand. As you continue walking, you sense someone moving parallel beside you. Annis pops out from behind a tree and strides up to you. She now carries a military-style scoped submachine gun and a tactical backpack. Who are you? Lacey asks, aiming her crossbow at the strange woman. She's a friend who just got to town, you say. She's here to help. You look awfully familiar, Adam says, squinting at her through the darkness. I'm Adam Bain. And you are? Annis gives him a curt smile. Remember that show, America's Most Wanted? Lacey's eyes grow white in the darkness. We don't have time for small talk. Let's keep going, you say. You all walk in silence until you reach the old pond. It's an oblong, man-made water-filled hole which has taken on a greenish-brown tint at night. Stretching across it from east to west, a gazebo and bridge sit atop the pond. Squared off and bright white, it contrasts starkly with the green, brown, and red of the park in full summer bloom. From your spot on the trail, at least 50 yards away, you can see the lone figure in the center of the gazebo, Amanda Chastain. She paces in a slow circle, stopping at the 30-foot-long bridge, turning and striding back to the other end of the platform. Everyone, cut your lights, you say and turn off your flashlight. Monroe steps out of the woods on your right. A hatchet straddles her leg as it hangs from her belt. Jace walks out after her, carrying a short, positively medieval-looking mace. Ready for this? Monroe asks. Eric stumbles out of the woods and dances a few steps forward until they catch their balance. They glare at a large stick on the ground before shifting their gaze to Monroe. Of course, that's an expression. What you really meant to say is, has everyone brought their gear and are they prepared for combat? I realize it's a longer expression, but be that as it may, it's much more accurate. Annis steps beside you, gritting her teeth. Who are these people? I don't like surprises. These are friends. They're here to help us against Chastain, you see. Monroe takes a few steps towards Annis, who swings around the automatic rifle from her back. The sight of that weapon gives Monroe a pause, and she raises her hands like she's yielding. We're all on the same side. It's gonna take every single one of us together to have a small chance of taking her out Chastain. Annis grunts, swings her rifle, and steps away from her. Can we just go over the plan one more time? Salem asks. You take a step forward and turn to address the group. We're gonna hide in the woods around the gazebo and sneak around her as quietly as possible. Once we're in position, I'll move in first. Wait for my signal. Monroe takes a step forward. Is that it? That's your entire plan? I've drilled my group over and over again before you got here. Basically, we'll ambush her with a coordinated attack all at once. If enough of us hit her, we'll be weak enough for you and the others to move in. If Chastain tries to run into the woods, we'll have to cut her off. We definitely have to stop her from escaping. Even if she is wounded, she'll be able to mend fast if she gets away. And then we're gonna have to piss off Amanda coming after us, Monroe says. We all need to work together so that does not happen, you say and pause for a moment to catch your breath. Everyone waits for you, their emotions expressed on each of their faces. Anxious, fearful, excited, overwhelmed. They don't just want a strategy. They want someone to tell them it's all going to be okay. Before the most important event in their lives, they're all looking for hope. Monroe nods. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'm good with that. We need to go now before Chastain leaves, Marcus shouts. After another deep breath, you say, I'm not going to lie and tell you this will be easy. We'll be battling a monster far more powerful than us. This will likely be the hardest thing most of us have ever done or will ever do. We haven't had any practice and can't prepare for all the unknowns. If we just stay focused, stay calm, and stick to the plan, we'll all get out of this alive. We'll accomplish our goal and help everyone in Jericho Heights be free of a danger most of them don't even know exists. So let's get to it, and hopefully we'll all be celebrating together later. Your friends all break their stares and you look around at one another. They seem more relaxed, more confident, but it's not easy to tell in the dark of night with only the light from a flashlight. Marcus's jaw remains set while Adam is too busy watching for danger to look you in the eye. Lacey looks determined. Salem looks the most worried, but you've gotten used to that expression on her face. You feel confident she'll be able to put aside or even work through some of her fears tonight. The woods break into a small clearing where a large puddle remains from the morning's rainstorm. When you move around it, you catch sight of the white railing of the gazebo bridge through the trees. Monroe and the rest of the young vampires set off into the woods ahead of you. Let's get ready to move, Marcus says. I'm not going to be too useful out in the woods, Adam says, waving his hands over his wheelchair to point out the obvious. I hang back a bit and then roll out to the bridge on this side of the gazebo. When it's go time, I'll move fast, so don't anyone worry about that. None of us are worried about that, Salem says with a grim smile. Anis checks her rifle once more and says, Out Neka, out Nekari. With that, she bolts into the woods, leaving you all behind. My Latin's a little rusty, Lacey says. It means either you kill or you're killed, Adam says. Salem shoots you a hard stare and picks at the skin of her forearm. She has that tattooed on her neck. The four of you take separate paths to reach the gazebo, with Adam remaining on the trail and the rest of you using the cover of the woods. Trees are sparse in this area and only provide a little cover. When you look around, you can see Lacey, Marcus, or Salem. Can't see, so at least they found places to hide as they make their way towards Amanda. You glide through the woods, keeping low and taking your time to pass between the thin dogwoods and the wider oak trees. With each careful step you take, you listen to the sounds of your footfall. Whenever you break a twig or crush a soft patch of grass, you freeze in place. You don't know all of Chastain's powers. Could she hear a branch snap 75 yards away? Will she know it's you? As you prepare for the fight ahead, you ready a ranged weapon. Look at all these options. AR-15 semi-automatic, Barrett M95 sniper, Colt Python revolver, crossbow, Desert Eagle semi-automatic, Mossberg 500 shotgun, Remington 700 bolt action. And I got stuck with a Glock 19. Lol 9mm, as they say. Ah, well. Play with the cards you're given. But remember, the house always wins. And if you get too lucky with your guesses, they'll ban you for card counting. You attach your suppressor to the Glock. Next, you ready a close combat weapon. Blackjack, cavalry saber, katana, sportsman's axe, and we got a hunting knife. Then again, maybe it's too early to doom. Maybe we'll succeed, actually. When you reach your assigned spot, you slow your approach and move to the edge of the tree line. Looking out, you see the murky waters on the pond before you and the gazebo 30 feet ahead. You're surprised to see banners wrapped around the roof which hang down and partially block your view. Chastain stands along the black rail holding her phone. A string of lights shine through the darkness and illuminate the interior of the gazebo. She wears a red floral sundress and her hair is tied back with a white pink ribbon. You stay under cover and look around for your friends. Marcus has made his way to the far north side of the gazebo, tucked in low by a thatch of dead wood several feet high. You look straight across from you to where Anis should be, but you can't see her. You're not surprised at her ability to blend in with her surroundings, and you're sure she has made it to her spot. On the east side, you see movement behind a tree, but can't make out what's causing the shaking of branches. That's where Lacey should be right now. You scan to the south, looking for Salem. She's not there. You look back to the trail and spot a lone figure in a wheelchair gliding across the path and closing in on the bridge. Chastain makes no indication that she's spotted you or your group. Even after crossing the woods, you are still 30 yards or so away from her. Where she stands in the gazebo, the tall support beams are the long, flowing banners block a clear line of sight to her. That may not prove difficult for trained shooters, but it'll pose a problem for your novice group. Moving in closer would improve your chances of a successful hit, but you may also alert Amanda to your presence. You could still just walk across the bridge pretending to be someone from festival participating in the scavenger hunt, or even sneak closer and attack from her blind side. You scan the area to the south again to look for Salem. A break in the green of a thicket of bushes reveals a pair of studded boots. That must be her. Your friends are ready. You spot someone else coming up the trail. A lean, tall figure. Perfect posture. Must be Jayfield coming to meet Chastain. He could definitely complicate things. As expected. Let's make our opening move. Rush across the bridge and attack her head-on. If I'm fast enough, I can incapacitate her before she can react. Dexterity and athletics. Once again, dexterity 2, athletics 2. Coin toss. Sneak closer before I attack. I need to increase my odds of a successful hit. Dexterity and clandestine. That one's right out immediately. Shoot her from a distance. Resolve and combat. Much better odds. And finally, walk across the bridge and talk to Chastain. If I can draw her out into the middle of the gazebo, my group may have a better chance of hitting her. Well, it's either shooting her from a distance or luring her out. Considering the game emphasizes that the gazebo she's currently standing in may not prove difficult for trained shooters, i.e. Anis, but it'll pose a problem for your novice group. Let's try our chances on this one. It'll be difficult to get out, but we can still try. You leave your position out in the woods and circle the edge of the pond. You hear someone call your name frantically from behind, but you continue along the bank of the water while keeping Chastain in view. She looks content, leaning against the railings and tapping her phone. It won't take long until you're face to face with her, another 40 paces or so. You reach the bridge before him and start across. When you glance to your left, you see Adam rolling along the trail at a steady pace. You reach the bridge before him and start across. "Sky, what are you doing? Get back!" he says in a hushed voice. You ignore him and keep your eyes locked on Chastain, now 20 paces away. As you walk, the planks rattle under your weight, and the weathered boards catch your toes in the dark and cause you to stumble. By the time you reach the gazebo, Chastain swipes the screen off her phone with a flourish and slips it in the pocket of her dress. She squints for a moment, and then her eyes soften at the sight of you. "You came. I was beginning to worry. So, is it almost time?" You say to her, "Almost. I just came here thinking you might like some of my blood before they show up." Charisma and persuasion. That one's out, even though it's 1+3. "Yes, the young vampires are preparing their attack. I brought my friends and we're all here to protect you. They're across the bridge, so we should go now to meet them." Manipulation and Subterfuge. Manipulation 2, Subterfuge 0, that one's also right out. Or we can just aggress at her. "Your time in Jericho Heights is over. You've terrorized this town for too long." I'll get her enraged at me to draw her out and distract her long enough for my friends to attack. Manipulation and Intimidation. That's 2 and 4. Could work. I'm in danger. Is this some kind of joke? She says, stunned. I'm here to kill you, Chastain. I don't believe vampires are as powerful as I've seen it in the movies. You're just some lady who's lived a long time. Well, time's up. All you catch is a blur of movement. You're lifted in the air over the railing of the bridge. Up becomes down, and the lights from the top of the gazebo blind you for a moment. Your body seems to float as you fly towards the surface of the pond. Limbs flailing recklessly, you hit the water with a loud splash. Your knees strike the bottom, and the cold water sends a shock throughout your body. I cannot believe this. Attacked in my own town. You hear Chastain's voice and look up to see her standing a few paces away. As you start to rise, she smiles at you and her fangs flash in the dim of the overhead lights. Cracks of rifle fire come from the trees and from the bridge. A volley of bullets strikes Chastain and throws her into the railing. She staggers forward a step and collapses onto the floor of the gazebo. You crawl out of the water and rush towards her, ready to finish the job. You spot Marcus dashing around the other side of the gazebo and Salem not far behind. Lacey takes her time, holding up her crossbow as she scampers along the pond. Annis moves from your left side and holds out her automatic rifle, aiming at Chastain. You glance at Adam on the bridge. He chambers around in his rifle and does not notice J-Field behind him. Something takes shape from the field past the pond, and a flash of white rushes at Chastain. The figure stops just ahead of her, and in that brief moment, you notice Monroe taking a swing. The blade of her hatchet slices through Chastain's back. She cries out and stumbles into the grass, a long slice running down her dress. Monroe draws back for another swing, and Chastain rises to her feet, eyes locked in the young vampire. Well, look who it is. Hello, Monroe. Come to destroy me? Think you have what it takes? Chastain says, fangs showing in her smile. Monroe circles to her left and raises her weapon. Tonight's your last night. I'm ready for this. And then it's all a blur. The two battle in a tangle of movements your human eyes can't follow. Streaks of red and white swirl before you, only allowing glimpses of the bright fight between the two vampires. Dirt flies up in clumps. Grunts and screams can be heard. It's like watching an action movie on fast forward. The rest of your friends have moved in and watched in stunned silence, weapons down. What do we do now? Salem asks as she bounces nervously from one foot to the other. I've got this if we need it, Annis says and holds up what looks like a hand grenade. From the back of the gazebo, you spot some more movement. Jace runs close to you and pauses as he watches the action, his mace held high and at the ready. Eric fast walks toward the action, shuffling through their fanny pack as they make their way over. As the high-speed fight continues, you run to the front of the bridge to help Adam fight off J-Field. Because order my group to surround Monroe and Chastain. We have to keep Chastain from getting away. That's composure. 3. Leadership. 2. Decent. Could always be better. Or run into the fight. Maybe I can distract Chastain and give Monroe the advantage. Resolve and awareness. Or dexterity and athletics. Resolve, awareness. Dexterity and awareness also. Or just fire into the battle. I don't care who we hit as long as we hit Chastain. Also lol, 9mm. No. Run to the front of the bridge to help Adam fight off J-Field. It's the right thing to do. Turning to the natural path, you spot Adam and J-Field both holding the rifle, the two men struggling to wrestle it from the other. Adam's wheelchair rocks from side to side, and he struggles to hold onto the weapon. J-Field shoves it at Adam's chest and then yanks it toward himself, but your friend manages to hold on. A smear of blood covers Adam's chin. You shoot J-Field from there. I have to be careful not to hit Adam, but it's a risk I'm willing to take to get J-Field off of him. Resolve and combat. Good odds, but what are the other options? Run and tackle J-Field. I don't want to permanently harm him. After all, he's human, not a vampire. Strength and athletics. Wait until I'm closer and hit J-Field from behind. One good swing is all I need to incapacitate him. Strength and combat. Could work. Or call out to J-Field to leave Adam alone. Maybe I can trick him into thinking we're on Chastain's side. Composure and subterfuge. Right out. Or composure and manipulation. No, wait. Composure and intimidation. That was. Yeah, composure and intimidation. Well, it's either shooting J-Field from here or calling out as a distraction. Honestly, I'm leaning more towards that one, even though a more risky but high payoff, I guess, option would be to try and shoot him right now. I do have good combat score, but resolve leaves something to be desired. As does our composure. Well, composure is a little better. So, let's try to call out to J-Field to leave Adam alone. Composure and intimidation, don't fail me now. You run along the path while watching the two men struggle over the rifle. Your heart pounds as you run as fast as you can. J-Field, stop! You shout. We're on your side! He turns his head to face you while keeping his hold of the rifle. Yeah, good idea. We'll most likely just finish up the game during the stream. It's coming soon. What the hell are you talking about? You clear another 10 yards and slow your approach. We set this whole thing up with Chastain and you're wasting time fighting against us. Let go of that rifle and get up to the gazebo to help Chastain. She didn't say anything about... J-Field says and his body flinches. At the same time you hear a pop and blood shoots from the middle of his back. He staggers a few steps sideways, releasing the rifle which Adam now holds firmly in his grasp, smoke rising from the barrel. J-Field looks down at a quarter-sized wound in his chest and then looks up to you with a look of surprise. He takes a few more steps and tumbles to the dirt, feet flying up and then straightening out. When you look over at Adam, he stares fixed on the weapon in his hand, his mouth banging open and bottom lip trembling. You run over to him and place your hand on his shoulder. I'm so sorry. You had no choice. Adam, look at me. He blinks and turns his head to meet you eye to eye. We have to get back and help our friends, you see. He swallows hard and nods to you. Okay, let's go. The two of you leave J-Field on the ground and head along the path toward the bridge. You run alongside Adam, who holds out the rifle aimed at J-Field. Pick up my wheelchair. You lift the chair up and set it on its wheels next to your friend. Adam drags himself over with one hand and pushes himself onto the front of the seat, all the while holding out the rifle in the crook of his arm. He scoops up his own legs and places them on the footrests, and slides himself back into the wheelchair. We have to hurry back, you say, and the two of you leave J-Field, who writhes on the ground as blood pools beneath his open wound. When you reach the middle of the bridge, you spot the two vampires still locked in their battle as your friends stand around and watch, weapons raised. This is over, Chastain shouts as she rises and crosses the short distance towards Monroe. With a swing of her leg, her heel catches Monroe under the chin, flipping her backwards. Now you understand just how stupid you were for leaving me. She saunters forward and stands over Monroe. I told you to stay, but you didn't listen. And here we are. Eric steps forward and consumes a vial of dark, viscous liquid. A miniature tornado of mist floats towards Chastain. Just before it lands, she cuts out with a blur and appears behind them. She kicks Eric in the small on the back, her heel piercing the area where her kidney should be. They let out a squealing yell and topple to the ground. As she lifts her other healed foot over Eric's head, Jay slams his mace into her head. She hobbles to the side, drops to one knee, and then stumbles away a few steps. Monroe struggles to her feet and limps towards Chastain. As she walks, she scans the ground and finds her hatchet hidden in the grass. This is over. Finally. The blade of the hatchet comes down on Chastain's back, digging straight through the flesh and embedding itself halfway down. Chastain's body convulses but otherwise remains motionless. So you're really gonna kill her? Salem asks. That was always the plan. Your friends stand beside you, and though their weapons are lowered, you can see they remain largely ready to act. Annis stands by your side, bouncing with nervous energy. What happens now? Salem asks. This is when she truly dies, she says. I'm not gonna do it here, but I'll take her out to the woods. You're welcome to come along. I've never done it before, so I'm just guessing it's gonna be tough to watch. We should do this fast. Someone's gonna see us out here, maybe even the sheriff or police, Lacey says. Let me immobilize her first, Monroe says. I need to grab a piece of wood to use as a stake. Annis slips off her backpack and reaches into it. Out comes a wooden stake and a mallet. Here you go, she says and hands them to Monroe. These will do, Monroe says and kneels over Chastain. I'm gonna need help holding her down. She might get a surge of energy when it goes in. Someone grab her feet. Make sure someone gets her arms too. The young vampires huddle around Chastain's body and pin her down as Monroe holds the point of the stake over her chest. Okay, on the count of 3, Monroe says and hovers the mallet over the top of the stake. 1, 2. Chastain's body flails and bucks, knocking Jace off her arm. She twists her torso and her fanged mouth snaps at Monroe. A screeching wail comes deep from within her. Monroe snatches her wrist and pins it back down. Damn it, hold her! Marcus dives onto the arm and tucks it under his body, struggling to hold the wrist. Placing the stake over the center of Chastain's chest, Monroe hammers it once. Chastain's scream turns to one of pain, a deep and shocked howl that people could hear from far away. Monroe brings down the mallet with another strike. The stake shoots downwards another few inches. Those holding Chastain struggle to keep her pinned as her limbs thrash and her body convulses, fangs out and teeth gnashing. Salem turns and heaves. Greenish-brown vomit erupts from her mouth and hits the grass with a splat. Annis looks on her with the mouth open and eyes wide. The look of someone watching with fascination as a snake devours a rat. Keep her down! With a grunt, Monroe slams the mallet against her head of the stake, sending it even deeper into Chastain's chest. Now the vampire's body goes limp and her head flops to the dirt. Monroe hits the stake one more time and then sits back and drops the mallet. It's done, she says and stands, her clothes dotted with Chastain's blood. Monroe's wounds have faded and now her eye appears less swollen and the slice in her lip has healed. I'll take care of things from here. You all should go. First of all, what are you gonna do with her? I want to know how to kill a vampire. That's composure and persuasion. Let's see, composure 3, persuasion 3. Good odds. I'll pretend to leave with my friends and then circle back and follow the young vampires so I can kill them. Composure and leadership. Worse odds because currently our leadership is at 2. Or I'll pretend to leave with my friends and then circle back and follow the young vampires so I can see how vampires die and confirm they actually kill Chastain. Also composure and leadership. Let's be forward about it. What are you gonna do with her? You don't need to know that. Just realize you'll never see Amanda Chastain again. Monroe looks down on the staked body of a woman. After all I've done and seen, I deserve to know how this ends. Just tell her, Monroe, or I will, Jace says. Ooh. Do I sense diablerie coming? I do sense diablerie coming. Monroe, how utterly expected of you. Let's try and be sneaky about it. I'll pretend to leave. Composure and leadership, don't fail me now. Goodbye, Monroe. Yassine back away from her. The sounds of sirens cut through the air, and in the distance flashing lights can be seen. When you turn back to Monroe, she's carrying Chastain's limp body towards the woods, followed by the other vampires. Now's our chance. Let's follow them to the woods. I want to watch Chastain die. I thought we would be done with this, Salem says. Monroe said she's gonna kill Chastain, but I need to be sure. I want to know exactly how one kills a vampire. I won't be able to sleep at night without seeing Chastain burn with my own eyes. Salem looks at the ground and hugs her body as she considers your words. Marcus stares at you with dead-set eyes, while Lacey balances her crossbow in the crook of an arm and struggles to light a cigarette. I hate to agree because I really want to go home right now. Sky's right, we have to see her die, Lacey says. Marcus reloads his rifle while Salem gives a quiet nod. Someone has to help Adam, she says, and you all turn to see him struggling at the edge of the bridge. Okay, be safe, you say to her. Her being Annis. I don't care about this town, but you know I'm going. They all have to die. Every single bloodsucker. Annis holds up her rifle, takes a few steps forward, and then waits for you. As the young vampires disappear into the forest, you and your companions follow after them. Once in the woods, you struggle to catch sight of the young vampires. Though they had a hard head start, you never expected to lose them so quickly. If not for Annis and her ability to spot their trail, they may have been lost. The woods are more dense in this area of Long Valley Park, and the overhead canopy of branches and leaves blocks out the full glow of the moon. Police sirens are fade to the background. You travel a far distance, never stopping for a break until you come to a clearing. You watch from behind an oak tree at least 20 paces away. In the center of the clearing sits what can only be described as a funeral pyre, a massive arrangement of logs set for burning. On it lies the unconscious body of Chastain. Monroe stands on one side of her with an unlit torch in hand. "Just hurry and get this over with. I'm afraid of fire," Eric says, looking through parted fingers at the pyre like they're watching a scary movie. "I'm going as fast as I can," Monroe says. She shoots a long spray of lighter fluid over the body, which quickly absorbs into the fabric of Chastain's body dress. Jay steps towards her. "Want me to do that? I'm sure this must be hard for you." Monroe, still emotionless, shakes her head. "I'm fine." It's almost done. You set out to destroy Chastain, and she lies in front of you, a pile of ash and brittle bones. Fire does kill vampires, and now you have confirmed it. Annis glances around the mini battlefield. Now's our chance to kill them all. As she raises her submachine gun, you place your hand on her shoulder. "No, I'm done. If you want to kill them, you're on your own." "What are we doing now?" Lacey asks. "Watch," you say, pointing to the pyre. "I want to see her body burn." You've never smelled a burning corpse before, nor watched flames engulf anyone, let alone a vampire, her body twitching as she catches fire. She seems to awaken as the pain sets in, but they're powerless to stop the raging pyre. The flames shoot high into the clearing, and a column of smoke weaves its way to the sky, though it all dissipates in a stiff wind that pushes it through the trees. You keep watch for a while with your companions and Annis from the safety of the woods close to the clearing. As the fire engulfs Chastain's body, you breathe a sigh of relief. It's over. She will be gone from this world forever. Maybe now you can enjoy your life in Jericho Heights. Her death brings you a new beginning, and you can't help but wonder what the future holds as the three of you start the walk through Long Valley Park to make your way back home. Chapter 12. Last Words. Which monster do you choose? John Ajvide Lindqvist. Let the right one in. 3 days later, 7:11 a.m. The whistle of the tea kettle fills the kitchen, and you move it off the burner just as the door swings open from the living room. Adam rolls to the table and butters a slice of toast as you pour 2 cups of tea. You've cooked every morning for the last 3 days, real breakfasts, not leftover pizzas or cans of soup. Is life back to normal? What's normal in Jericho Heights? Thank you for making breakfast. It really helps since I rarely take a lunch break anymore. I'm used to a protein bar on my way to work, not eggs and bacon and toast. The kitchen door swings open and Angel scampers inside. She slinks along the baseboard and hops up on the far end of the kitchen table. You walk a serving plate into the middle of the table and prepare yourself a plate. You've had a voracious appetite over the last few days. Before that, you could barely remember eating since you arrived in Jericho Heights. Adam unfolds the Heights standard and places it next to his plate. I thought my parents were the only people who still get a physical newspaper. My grandfather always got them delivered. After he passed away, I guess they never stopped dropping them off. I should probably call them and end the subscription. You read the headline. Where is Amanda Chastain? Authorities are still investigating the disappearance of beloved Jericho Heights resident Amanda Chastain. After hosting a scavenger hunt at this year's summer festival, Chastain did not return home and has not been seen since. You lose sight of the article as Adam opens the paper to the business section. I wish we lived in a bigger town. The business section is one page, and the biggest article is about the upcoming real estate tax increase. He takes a lemon wedge, squeezes the juice into his tea, and looks up from the paper. You know, we haven't talked about what happened the other night. No, we haven't. Well, what are your thoughts? Despite all that's gone on with vampires in Jericho Heights, I realize that the biggest problem is all the corruption. Adam nods. I agree. I knew it was bad, but it starts with the mayor and it goes through the entire town. You notice that a text came through on your phone at 3 a.m. and you stop eating to read it. Zane, have you seen our friend? She hasn't been back since that night. Stop by my place if you know anything. I better get going. Sorry to leave you with the dishes. Adam maneuvers his chair around the table and kisses you on the cheek. See you tonight? Absolutely. After he leaves, you finish your breakfast. As you read through the rest of the paper, you spot something on the back page, an ad in a tiny square box. Have you seen my daughter? Andrea Chambers went missing July 21st, 2019. Contact us with info. Achievement: Romance in the Air. You've developed a committed relationship with a romantic partner. 8:44 p.m. Your eyes drift as you clean the counter next to the cash register. An hour of listening to Lam's analysis of the town's retail market fluctuations and methods to improve foot traffic has you yawning as you clean the store before closing. The door swings open and closes again, and the window blinds flip shut. Footsteps slap against the tile as they run at you. "Excuse me, we're closing and you can't just..." Adam says, but cuts himself off as someone rushes past him. "Get rid of him," she says to you. You look up and spot Annie Skeen. Her head's wrapped in a hood and a dark bruise sits high on her jaw. She quietly reveals a gun and rests it on the counter. Her knuckles are bruised and bloodied. "Lam, why don't you take off? I can handle closing up." He stares at a gun on the counter. "This is highly irregular. Sorry, but this is my friend. Everything's okay. Just head home and keep this between us, okay?" you ask. Lam nods and backs away. He keeps his eyes on Annis until he leaves the store. "We don't have a lot of time," she says and steps away from the counter, scratching her chin with the barrel of the pistol. She pulls down the hood to show her nearly bald head with just a hint of hair. "A bloodsucker followed me here, but I put 2 rounds in his gut. It'll take him a few hours to heal, maybe less. Don't worry, I didn't lead him here. At least I didn't think I did." "Do you need help? Why did you come here?" She paces in front of the counter, and as she approaches the window, she peeks through the blinds. "If you think Jericho Heights is the only place on Earth with vampires, you're seriously fucking wrong. I found a whole hive or coven or whatever you call a group of them just over in Aurora. So get whatever you need and make it quick, because we have to get over there before they're on the move." "Whoa, slow down. Were you just fighting vampires outside my store?" Annie shakes her head. "No, it was one of their Ranfields. A human who drinks their blood and works for them during the day. I had to get information out of him. Followed him to Jericho Heights when he was at some kind of family reunion. I waited for him to leave and shoved him into the back of my van. Fucker fought back, but I took care of him. He gave up the location of their hideout. It's sunset, so if we hurry, we can get there before too long." "Let me grab my stuff and we'll head out. Other vampires are out there, and I'm ready to work with Annis to kill them all." Annis smiles. "Don't take too long." A few minutes later, you rush out of her van, and she hits the open road down the highway towards Aurora. A combat shotgun lies between the front two seats. Maps, photos, and newspaper clippings decorate the walls in the back. Fast food wrappers and energy drink cans litter the floor. "Get some sleep. Get used to sleeping whatever you can." With the adrenaline coursing through your body, you doubt you can rest, but once you close your eyes, the hum of the engine lulls you to sleep. Achievement unlocked: A Hunter's Life. You've teamed up with Annie Skeen to hunt vampires across the country. Wednesday, December 18th, 2019, 6:51 p.m. You look up to the cracked mirror in the bathroom at the Super 8 where you've been staying since Friday. You can't believe your reflection. Your nearly bald head, medical tape holding 2 pieces of your upper lip together, and the purple shiner under your right eye. It's been 4 months since you joined Annis to hunt vampires. You thought you'd stop at 1, but a trip from her contact in Utah led to a month-long stakeout in a church of a church in Cedar Rapids, where a preacher led his nighttime congregation off of the gifts of their blood. You moved on to Fargo, North Dakota, or was it Bismarck? Why the hell are vampires living in North Dakota of all places? The snores from the other room end with a hacking cough. You step into the room and see Annis waking up. She rubs her eyes and grabs a bottle of lukewarm Gatorade from the nightstand. "You were supposed to wake me up an hour ago," she says. She stands and walks into the bathroom, checking your shoulder as she passes. "We still have time. Sun doesn't go down for another hour." "That's not the point. I keep telling you we need to be disciplined. Even if we're perfect, we're at a disadvantage. We make all the right moves and maybe odds are 50-50 we'll live to hunt another day. Hey, go in my bag. Right on top of there's something for you." You hear the shower turn on and the plastic curtain slide along the tracks. You move to the car backpack tucked under the TV stand. You pull it out and unzip it lengthwise. A pack of Hostess cupcakes sits on top with a yellow post-it note. "Happy 6th-month anniversary." You open the package and bite into the chocolatey cake. The right side of your mouth stinks, so you move the food to the left. Finishing in 2 bites, you leave the second one for Anis. Putting away the backpack, you stand and move to the table where the black folder lies open. The black folder holds all details for the current target. This one only contains a phone bill, a photo, and a contract for a storage container. You hold up the photo and stare at the man in the grey pinstripe suit with a cowboy hat. He owns several businesses in Great Falls, among them one of the largest ranches in the region. Humans are the livestock, and blood is the product. Bright lights flood the windows of your motel room. You cover your eyes and hear a revving engine drawing closer. You dive into the bathroom just as the front grille of a semi-truck crashes through the wall of the main room. A cloud of concrete dust flies behind you and you roll into the tile wall. A naked Anis pulls on her jeans and shouts, "I'll cover you! Get through the tunnel!" You crawl under the sink and yank open the gate covering the hole you dug. Squeezing your body through, you bump against the go bag, throw it on your back and shimmy across the back of the motel room to a narrow path behind the drywall of the main hallway. Moving headlong through the darkness, you wave your hands to feel the way before you. From behind comes the sound of rapid gunfire. Anis shouts for you to hurry and you reach the end of the hallway. Digging through your backpack, you take out the hatchet and start an exit through the drywall. You know you only have a few seconds to escape. As you swing the blade, you smirk. I wonder how things are in Jericho Heights. We hope you've enjoyed playing Vampire the Masquerade Out for Blood. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this game to a friend? That's, of course, a 10. Please sign to have your vote counted. Sure. So please close your eyes for a little bit. And email me when new games are available. Do you have a choice of games password? No, I'm new. Okay, now for this one, I'm gonna have to close your eyes for a second, so give me a moment. Like that. And what... Just a second. After all, some things are, as I said, require privacy. Choice of Games releases new games like this on a regular basis. And there it is. Please confirm your subscription. Almost finished. We need to confirm your email address. And that is done. Thanks for playing. Now, closing thoughts. This will go up on YouTube, right? Sure, unless I forget. After all, I did forget the previous time. Anyway, so closing thoughts. I like this. I like this text quest. It's a pretty good intro into the World of Darkness. And believe it or not, this is the second World of Darkness game choice of games pulled up. The first one is, of course, being their best one, Night Road, which we will delve into at some point in time, but I'm not sure as to when exactly we'll do that. But as it stands, it's a pretty solid game. There will be, of course, other games that I will need to try out and show off. Choice of Games got plenty of them in here. Not all of them tied to Vampire the Masquerade, if you can believe it. If we go into... every game from Choice of Games bundle, which costs a lot, believe it or not. Night Road is the one I'm most hyped about, because, as I mentioned, it is pretty good. Let me just quickly scroll through that list to get to the one I'm looking for. Well, there is one which is off-brand World of Darkness called Choice of the Vampire. which also has its own DLC, but that's beside the point. Scrolling through, there we go. So, besides Night Road, there are also Parliament of Knives, which takes place in Ottawa, in Sabbat-controlled territory, if memory serves right, and Sins of the Sires, which places us in modern-day Athens as a caitiff. Besides that, we also have Werewolf the Apocalypse, the Book of Hungry Names. Overall, user reviews very positive on Steam. And besides that, there is also, or already out, a game in, what was it, Hunter the Vigil, no, not Hunter the Vigil. Let me remember as to what it was exactly, so... Hunter the Reckoning, that's the one I was thinking of. But yeah, Hunter the Reckoning, the Beast of Glen Kildove. The font makes me think that it is also from Choice of Games, but I'll need to double check on that one. And I can do that right now. Nothing's stopping me after all. So let's see about that. Come on, Hunter. Yep, there it is. Hunter the Reckoning, the Beast of Glen Kildove. Yes, also from Choice of Games. 8 years ago, when you were 18, the Beast of Glen Kildove killed one of your closest friends. You never returned to Ireland since that day. It's difficult to remember what happened. As you'll soon learn, the human mind blots out the traumatic memories of facing a werewolf. Now you must stalk that werewolf across the shadowed glens and fog-bound mountains of Ireland, hunting a shape-shifting killing machine with your friends, your wits, and a shotgun. But you and your friends are not alone. You've entered a world of hunters, humans who dare challenge the dominion of monsters who rule over them. Can you trust the fanatics of the Society of Leopold, the scholars and savants of the Arcanum, the ruthless Duffy crime family, or the enigmatic biotech company FADA? Can you even trust your oldest friends? Redemption for some, retribution for others, a reckoning for all. And that was, by the way, a reminder that the Arcanum is not exclusive to Hunter the Parenting. We're just dealing with its Norfolk chapter. It is, as you can imagine, a pretty wide-reaching organization. I hope I've enticed you with this information a little further. No. There were 3 of you. There were 3, actually. One person departed when I was inputting that information. But anyway, thank you for coming. And I will see you all tomorrow when we go back to Shadowrun. Have a good one, and see you.